And away we go. 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 Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all else, I'm going to be real honest with you.
Everybody else, all of yins.
All y'all. I'm going to be real honest.
Which means normally he's not that honest.
I'm always honest.
Yeah, but now he's going to be real honest.
I'm being real honest.
So there's like some slight embellishments on occasion, but now, I mean, even after admitting that there are slight embellishments, now we have to trust him that he's going to be real honest.
Never let facts get in the way of a great story.
Okay.
I believe it's how the expression goes.
I'll turn my mic off then.
I am getting my ass kicked right now, dude. I am struggling to make it right now. I feel fine. But yesterday afternoon made the mistake of going outside for any amount of time. And I still have not recovered yet. I'm still not back. And I don't like it. I don't like it at all. But that's all right, because it's Friday. You know, we got a nice, calm, relaxing weekend coming up with nothing to do except for all those things we have to do.
Nothing at all. Good weekend to get yard work done.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I was reminded yesterday that I told the fiance who, you know, we're both doing this weight loss thing. She, and this is going to be amazing. She went earlier this week because she's getting into walking more, you know, taking long walks. She goes on her lunch break and pops on the treadmill for like 35 minutes, getting into walking more. She went and got herself some nice, you know, professional walking, running shoes. And she said, you have to be mean about it. All right. We both know where we're at. All right.
I wasn't being mean. I was just, you know.
Let me tell you, you should have saved that clip for what I'm about to tell you. You should have saved that clip for what I'm about to tell you, Zoe, which is that after she got those shoes on Monday, she said, hey, do you want to do a 5K with me on Saturday? Saturday morning, 8 a.m. Do you want to do a 5K?
Wow.
Now.
And your answer was?
My answer was, oh, you got yourself some new shoes and all of a sudden you're ready for the Olympics, huh? And she went, I'm doing it. If you can't do it, just say you can't do it.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, if somebody hits me or Zoe with the, if you can't do it, just say you can't do it.
Shut the hell up.
Yeah, pretty much. I was like, well, I guess I have Saturday morning plans then. Guess I know what I'm doing. Guess I'm getting up, strapping on the running shoes, and dusting you in a 5K. I'm going to be straight up. I don't think I've done a 5K in probably 15 years.
Really? So you're saying there was a time when you...
Oh, I used to run 5Ks. I used to be a skinny little runt, dog. I used to be in good shape. I used to be an athlete. And then I discovered whiskey and beer. And it was all downhill from there. I haven't done a 5K, and I can't tell you how long. But I know that she called me out on one, which means that I am going to be one miserable son of a on Saturday night. But it's got to get done. Got to get done. But that's okay, because after that's over, I sit down to do Bet for the Cycle. I sit down to watch the Triumph play Saturday night. As they move on, we now know we're going to Louisville, Kentucky for the next round of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. Then we got WrestleMania Saturday night. Then we got WrestleMania Sunday night. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, she said, what are we doing Sunday? And I said, if you got my ass running a 5K at 8 in the morning on Saturday, nothing on Sunday. Nothing. Nada. Watch this, guys. I'm going to make Lonzo give Steph Curry props for something right now. Have you seen it?
Nope.
What I'm about to tell you about?
Nope.
You have not?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
Last night, the Golden State Warriors were taking on the Houston Rockets. Last night, one of the players from the Rockets came out with a hoodie to sit on the bench with. And this hoodie, Lonzo, said in the old throwback font, Warriors come out to play, which is hilarious, if we're being honest. They rocked the t-shirt that said Warriors come out to play. Well, the Warriors did. They came out and they smoked H-Town last night. And at one point, great one, the camera panned over to the Dubs sideline. Steph Curry was sitting on the bench with glass bottles on his 3 fingers, clinking them together, looking at the Rockets players out on the floor.
All right.
That's gold.
This is contrived or this was planned because someone, and I forget what team, Amy Lawrence has been talking about this some. I hear it when I'm setting up the show. Another player who's their team's trying to get into play, and I can't remember, has said Warriors come out to play.
It's the Rockets who are right behind the Warriors, and one of those two teams is likely going to the play-in game. It is them. So last night during the game, out to the sidelines comes Tariq Eason, rocking the Warriors come out to play t-shirt. They eventually, after the Rockets trailed the Dubs 18 in the late third quarter, flipped it on over to Steph, who's clinking the bottles together on the sideline.
What bottles were they?
Clink,
What
clink.
kind of bottles?
I'm gonna be honest. I thought they were like empty Yoo-hoo bottles.
I'm
I'm not sure. I really don't need Steph chugging Yoo-hoos on the sideline. Not because I have any issue with Yoo-hoo, I don't, but because I know Lonzo's gonna go. Nothing he likes more with his binky than a cold chalky milk.
Yeah, you know why? Because it leaves the chocolate taste in your binky. I'm guessing. So you'd be tasting it the entire game.
There it is. You know, I genuinely thought this might be a
what it would do?
A moment of unity between you and Steph.
You know what it would do? The Yoo-hoo taste in his binky would pacify him. Is that a dad joke?
No. Yeah. I'm gonna give you credit. I don't want to give you credit.
I'm trying really hard. It's this dad joke thing. My sarcasm gets in the way. I think if I achieve dad jokes, I'm done.
So no credit for my man going full Warriors.
Oh no, it's
on the sideline.
It's really good. I'm more disappointed in that show that comes on before us had never seen that movie. And I get it's a really old movie, and maybe you've never seen the movie, but you understand did you ever see the Warriors?
Years ago, yes.
Yeah, I mean, some of those gangs, like the baseball Furies and all those guys. I mean, those were pretty amazing.
Clink, clink, clink.
That guy right there, that's a guy you really want to hurt.
Warriors.
The guy who did that.
Michael Beck. Is that the guy?
I don't think he was the one who did it. He could have been.
I thought he was. I don't know. It doesn't matter. The point is, Steph got it. Steph fired back. It's a great moment. My man, Tariq Eason, rocking the Warriors come out to play hoodie, and Steph hit him right back with it. Here we are. Got you down by 18 and put you one more game in the hole. We came out to play. Where are y'all at? Incredible. Nice job, Steph. I fully approve. Of the counter troll. See, the problem is, if you're going to troll like that, you better come win the game. If you're going to troll like that, and by the way, I don't know that you can get away with that if your ass is on the pine for that game. Can you really be the one that runs smack when you're sitting on the bench in that game?
See, here's the thing. I think if you are a smack talker, it doesn't matter where you're at. I mean, if you're in the building, if you're on Zoom, if you're on the bench, you talk smack. That's what you do.
He got his boys whooped.
You really think so? So Steph and those guys need that kind of motivation in order to win that game.
I don't know if they need it. I know I'm not going to give it to them just in case.
Yeah!
I don't know if they need it. I don't know if it's going to make them better. I don't know if it's going to drive them forward. I don't know if it's going to bring the best out of them. I know I'm not going to find out. I don't feel like you need to give Steph and, more importantly, maybe Draymond a reason to be mad about something before you play them with your play-in spot on the line. I don't know that. I'm very pro team smack talk in basketball. It's part of basketball. It's part of the game. If you're not down with that, you're going to be real disappointed.
And if you're not down with that, we got 2 words for ya.
You're going to get your feelings hurt a lot. That's more than 2 words, but you get the point.
You're picking everything that might be missing for me. I think I've got everything recovered.
Good. Need all the clips except that one. Not that one. Not that one either. That one's famous.
I'm
going to go right now and go, regardless of how we feel about whether or not Golden State is going to be in that 10 spot or not, regardless of whether or not we think that the Dubs are good enough to sneak in the back door of the play-in tournament and maybe pull off a round 1 win and get into the play-ins. What I do know is if I'm Houston, I'm back a game and a half. I'm back 2 games. They're coming to my house. The last thing I need to do is give Steph and Draymond a little extra incentive to get the job done. And you know that they had some incentive because they brought props to the sideline. Clink, 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 clink. I think you gotta, it's one thing. It's one thing to have the absolute confidence to rock a Warriors come out to play hoodie when you're lined up against Steph and the Dubs. It is another thing for Steph to either have brought or at some point in the game be so comfortable in that spot to go, hey, Steve. Steve's the trainer on the sideline. Steve, come here. Here's what I need you to do. I need you to go in the locker room. I need you to get my wallet out of my pants. I need you to grab $100. I need you to go up to the concourse. I need you to buy me 4 glass bottles. I don't care what they are. Beer, what? Coke, what? Yoo-hoos, what? I need you to grab me 3 or 4 glass bottles, and I need you to bring them back down to me here on the sideline. Why is that, Steph? Don't worry about it. Steph either brought props or he sent somebody out to get them in game. That's probably not what I want out of Steph Curry if it's between me and the greatest shooter of the basketball of all time with a playoff spot on the line. Probably not the inspiration I want to give that cat. It cost H-Town. They got smoked last night. Golden State 1 game closer to the play-in spot. It is the last play-in spot, but you can't dance if you don't get invited, yeah? All right. We'll talk some NBA later in the show. Obviously, big basketball today on the program. A lot of basketball to get to as we've got to break down the women's Final Four matchups. And I think for everybody in this job, we go back and forth with regularity. I don't know. I think all of us have our spots where we go, should we do more women's basketball? Should we do less women's basketball? Is there an appropriate amount of women's basketball? How do we find it? Tickets to the women's Final Four, which kicks off tonight with your South Carolina Gamecocks under the leadership of one Dawn Staley, your 4-time, and now new. No, she's not new. And still. That's how it goes. SE or women's coach.
You got there.
Yeah, I told you, dude. Paulin is killing me today. And I think you can hear it. I'm fighting through it. Dawn Staley leads her Gamecocks into battle tonight in the women's Final Four. And then, of course, we have the showdown of showdowns in the second game in the women's Final Four. Paige Buckets Beckers and our UConn Huskies.
Why is there even a second round? I mean, who cares about the second round? South Carolina Gamecocks are playing. I mean,
I appreciate your fandom.
I don't even know why you're even talking about that second game.
Why am I
mean,
talking about?
Way to go. Way to play for second place, because that's what you're going to end up being. You're going to be an undefeated South Carolina Gamecocks game, and you're about to give all this love to these other people on the consolation round when the number one team, the South Carolina Gamecocks, undefeated. I think they need a little more love than what's her name and the other what's her name on the consolation round.
You mean soon to be number 1 overall WNBA draft pick Caitlin Clark?
I mean,
soon to be number 2. Actually, I think Paige Beckers might come back. She might run it back. She's got one more
She
year.
already says she's coming back.
Yeah, so there you go. I am going to go with that. While I agree the best team 1 to 8 is the South Carolina Gamecocks, I am also a proponent, friend of, ally, supporter, advancer, advocate for women's
consolation
basketball
round
as a whole.
I mean, that's fine. Consolation round.
The sport as a whole.
Consolation round.
The sport, as it is with college football, the NBA, and everything else, the sport is bigger than one team, even when that team is a dynasty. Paige Beckers and Caitlin Clark individually are both better than any Gamecock on the roster.
Wow. So they're both individually undefeated, like the Gamecocks.
No, obviously they're not.
Okay, all right.
But did I just say Paige Beckers could take the whole Gamecock roster?
Well,
or did I say that you can take any Gamecock, square her up one-on-one
You
with
kind of
Paige?
said that. You kind of did. I mean, if you read between the lines.
No, I didn't. I appreciate the fact that Lonzo's fan cap is screwed into his head and incapable of being removed. I respect it. He lives kayfabe, lives the gimmick, and I like it.
You're right. I'm talking of there's no chance that the Gamecocks, who are undefeated, I don't know if you know that.
Do you think there is a 0% chance they lose to the 2 best women's basketball players on the planet right now?
I'm going to sit back and let you talk about consolation round. Because, I mean, that's what you want to do. You go ahead, talk about consolation round.
You put me in a very interesting spot because on one hand,
you have praised Caitlin, what's her name, more this entire season than you have even mentioned the Gamecocks. So, I mean, we all know who your girl is. Every one of us know that.
Oh, for sure. She is my homie.
You just don't like the Gamecocks. I mean, obviously.
No, take us to break. I'm not doing this with you. I'm not doing this with you.
I'm as a duly representative of listeners out there. I mean, I'm reading into things, and that's what I'm reading. I mean, that's why.
Like a you problem.
No.
Listen here,
I'm sure
every woman I've ever dated.
I'm sure the text line would agree.
Yes, texters, please go ahead and text that Rob hates the Gamecocks.
I mean, you've been doing it all season, so I mean, we know. We know.
Lonzo does drugs.
You're big. No, I do not.
You're doing them right now.
Yeah, he's trying to do character assassination. Not going to work.
No. I'm saying things that are obviously untrue about each other. Then let's say things that are obviously untrue.
Well, I'm not trying to be personal though. You're trying to be personal. You shouldn't do that. But it's obviously you've been an Iowa fan this entire time. I get the boss is an Iowa fan. I get that's maybe there was a mandate I didn't see
if there is one of the two of us that is smooched up to the derriere of the boss over their sports teams, it ain't me.
By the way, all mine
the Cowboys suck. There, see?
Okay, I was talking about the boss downstairs, which I have no idea what his NFL team is.
Green Bay, I do.
Okay, all right. Well, I forgot. Of course you would know. But I mean, the Iowa mandate, there's probably emails over there. Probably you haven't mentioned Iowa yet. Why haven't you mentioned Iowa yet? And so now, I mean, but you talk about the consolation round. Go Gamecocks. That's all I'm saying. The undefeated Gamecocks.
You done? You feel better? You throwing enough rocks at me over here?
It's hot in here.
Joey texted said, "Hey Lonzo, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't South Carolina defeated also last year until the Final Four?"
Yep. I'm glad your boy.
With a better team, by the way.
I am so glad your boy, who always has your back, is in there having your back. I wish I had someone like that. But
he wrong.
Joey's your boy, and
wrong.
I don't know why you're doing the pin thing. You aren't Dr. Britt Baker, DMD.
Wrong.
Stop that. That's annoying.
Is he wrong?
By the way, if you want to see how annoying that is, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, or X, and you also can be annoyed by what he's doing.
But is he wrong?
About what?
South Carolina in the
Sorry,
Final Four
your
last year.
pen was distracting, and I forgot what the whole thing. Stop it. That's annoying. Gosh, that's annoying.
Here, I'll answer.
That's
Joey.
almost as annoying as talking about the consolation round when the South Carolina Gamecocks were undefeated.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, as this is a sports show, and Lonzo has taken great pride over the years in pointing out that no one team commands the airwaves here. No. In fact, we've gotten very upset at some people in bygone broadcasting eras.
You mean some people in Michigan?
Now, I didn't say who.
I will. I ain't afraid. I wasn't afraid when he was here.
Some people in bygone eras of this radio station very heavily slanted to one team, and it used to frustrate you greatly. And now you're saying that's what you want me to do on the show. By
the way, Tracy, we don't drink coffee. And if we did,
I hate coffee.
If we did, we wouldn't in here because it's a little toasty.
It is freaking hot in here.
Yeah.
It really is.
It might be sabotaged by the afternoon show. Like, let's crank up the heat before we leave so that they're sweltering when they come in the morning.
You said you need emotional support coffees. Good.
I hope it's cold.
Paige Buckets, Caitlin Clark, a showdown in the Final Four with a ticket to square off with Chloe Kitts and the gang in the NCAA Finals. And by the way, all of this is assuming South Carolina gets by a good NC State team, a shock NC State team, as both the men's and women's from the Wolfpack have moved on to the Final Four in both tournaments. I'm going to tell you right now, there's not much more dangerous in Sportslandia than a team that gets told for a week, y'all might as well pack the bags, check out of the hotel, get on the plane, and fly home, because this is for granted. You cannot win this weekend. There is nothing more dangerous in sports than somebody who has had to listen to the chorus of just how bleeped they are for a week and a half. There is no guarantee in this round.
I do disagree with you on one thing. There is something more dangerous than that, and that's a team that's undefeated and has had a couple scares in the last two games, to the point where now they woke up. They done woke up, and look out. Look out.
This team is not as good as last year's team. It's
not. They aren't supposed to be where they are. They're not supposed to be undefeated, but you know what they are, because they have a superior coach. Coach of the year, by the way.
Coach of the year.
Don Staley.
Don Staley is here. Let me make you even
going to send the puppies back up north
and
then get ready to take on consolation round, whichever person it is, because apparently they don't have a team. They just have one person on each of those teams, and I will meet them in the championship round.
As I have said,
send them packing too.
And we'll say again and again and again, Dawn Staley is my favorite coach of any sport at any level. She is my favorite head coach of any sport, any level.
If you have to say it again, that means you were, people didn't believe you the first time.
No, I have to say it again because Ron hates the Gamecocks.
I don't sound like that.
Dawn Staley is my favorite coach, any sport, any level. And I think in fact, I know she would tell you, because she has said it before. This team ain't last year's team. It's not as talented. They are cohesive, but they are a young team. She described them earlier in the year as a very immature team, a team that needed to learn some lessons, et cetera, all things they have done. But I promise you, if they walk into this game against NC State tonight with the same level of straight up cockiness that the great one has right now, pardon the pun, they could go home tonight. Tonight they could go home. Because Joey's right. They were the big dogs on campus last year. They were it last year. Then what happened? A better team got bounced in the Final Four.
So what you're saying is you're going to put money on the Gamecocks to lose tonight?
No, but I'm having a hard time picking them to cover 11.5.
Okay.
Let's take a break. We're going to absolutely crap on John Fisher later in the show. I'm really excited about that. A lot of basketball we got to get to, maybe some baseball. And, we did talk a lot of wrestling yesterday. We're probably going to talk more today.
Avengers Assemble.
Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. I need an emotional support donut.
No, you don't. You do not. You do not. Come on, man. You're on a mission to lose that weight. You don't need no donut.
I made air fryer salmon last night. Pretty good.
Yeah, but smell wise, what's a?
Not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Aren't you worried about that kind of like clinging to the inside of the air fryer?
No, 'cause
and the
gotta,
next 10 things you make in there smell like salmon?
If it does, I love fish. So it
okay, all right.
But I made it, and Courtney brought home this Indian spice. I forget what it's called, but it's like a chili lime pepper seasoning mix. Holy crap, it was good.
Way to be there for him, Joe. Just want to sing, you got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. I would have sang the next words, but I don't know the next words.
Stock car.
I was singing "You Got a Friend in Me" when you left, but I don't.
You got a friend in me. You got a friend in me.
See, I think he went for the Elvis Costello part. I went for it's Randy Newman and Elvis Costello sang it.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. It was a duet, like Woody and Buzz.
When the road looked rough ahead in your mouth and mouth from your nice warm bed.
Wow, he does know the words.
You just remember what your old pal said. Yeah, you got a friend in me. Randy Newman's been on running joke on Family Guy for like 20 years now. And it's funny every time.
I feel nostalgic when I hear Randy Newman, whatever his name is. Because I would play that a bunch on the Mark Ryan program. He didn't like that because I don't think he knew who Randy Newman was. So I mean, because he didn't play ska.
Some folks might be a little bit smarter than I am, bigger and stronger too. But none of them will ever love you the way I do. It's me and you.
Wow, I don't know what I did there. Why? Why did I do that?
Friendship will never die. And Randy Newman in my head, thanks a lot. First off,
I was singing that during the break on the stream, which you could watch during the break for your boy Joe, who's always there for you. No matter what, he's right there. It could be the most outrageous take that you've ever given in the world. Joe's going to be right there. Rob's absolutely right.
I mean, I am right.
But it usually comes with facts and makes Rob look better than Rob looked before. I mean, that's what a friend does.
I mean,
that's what your wingman does. That's what your guy does.
I was already right, and Joey just made me look righter. And I appreciate that.
Not that show that comes on after us.
For Righter Than You after us from 10 to noon.
Thank you for the Saturday Night Live segue. Hey, stick around.
Jim Rome in the Jungle from noon to 3, and then Cole Bryson and Diesel on Wire to Wire from 3 to 7 p.m. every day. 7 to 11 p.m. It is BetMGM tonight with Nick Ashuse, Ryan Horvat, and Trista Crick. And then CBS Sports Radio overnight, the outstanding programming lineup right here on the Fan Upstate. Hey, speaking of things that you can hear right here on the Fan Upstate, basketball. As your home for the men's Final Four and national championship game is right here on the Fan Upstate. So if you are unable to get in front of a television for the men's Final Four matchup, which airs tomorrow, don't worry about it. All you got to do is grab the Odyssey app or click the closest available radio over to 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM in Spartanburg, or online at thefanupstate.com, and you will be able to hear the men's Final Four and national championship game right here on the Fan Upstate. So there you go. There you go. Little live shooty hoops for you here on the station. You're very, very welcome. So let's get some more stories up in here as we talk a little sports on the day. Yesterday, we told you Steve Clifford stepping down as the head coach of the Charlotte Hornets. So who's next? What's next for Buzz City? By the way, Buzz City is a great moniker.
Okay.
I love it.
You're the only person I've ever heard call it that. So I was going to ask you, do they call it that actually there?
Oh, yeah.
Because I've been to Charlotte and never heard it called Buzz City while I was in Charlotte. But I was there for a Panther game or for some other stuff, not for that. So I
didn't get a chance to go get a Tide pen and try to get the red wine stain out of the new hoodie, or I would have worn it today. I'm going to wear it on Monday. I was very close not to getting that one.
The Tide pens actually work?
Oh, God, yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, the only reason I couldn't find one yesterday is because we go through them faster than regular pens at the house.
Do you spill wine on your clothes often?
Define often, I think, is the way I need to answer.
I've never seen you drop anything in my entire life, so I don't know why I would think that would be something that happens, right?
Somebody else spilled wine on my hoodie before I even got it home to wear it for the first time. Got to hit it with the Tide pen. But I almost didn't buy it because while the hoodie I got is super dope, they had another one that was black and in gold letters across the front. It said Buzz City. I was like, it's pretty good.
So it is a thing.
It's pretty good.
All right, cool.
Anyway, Charlotte, I like this a lot. My fear has been...
Hey, is Buzz City a double entendre? I mean, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. So it doesn't have another meaning to it? Buzz City doesn't?
I mean, it was Buzz City Monday night when I was at the game.
Okay, I was just curious. I'm gonna stop. Tracy says they make adult sippy cups.
I don't need an adult
and some people will fight over them to get the pink ones.
What are you talking about?
The cup. All right, yeah, that counts. Those cups that people were fighting over.
Oh, the Stanley cups?
Yeah, those are adult sippy cups.
First off, I'm a big tumbler guy.
Which are adult sippy cups. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. That's what they are. I mean, you can't really go against that. I mean, you raise it up like 3 times the size of the sippy cup, and that's what it is.
I mean, I don't know what you tell me, or I don't know what to tell you. Love a good tumbler. Good tumbler, metal straw. It's the way to go. Way to live life. Hornets are doing what I had hoped they were going to do. That is, they are not going to go run it with a retread coach, just anybody for the sake of getting somebody with experience. Or at least their first step in finding their new head coach does not lead me to believe that is going to be the case. Less than a day after Steve Clifford announced that he will be moving on from Charlotte, or at least from the Charlotte head coaching position, and will be moving into the front office to utilize his basketball knowledge to help this team grow administratively, the Charlotte Hornets began lining up interviews to fill that vacant job. I was worried that the first names we were going to hear were names like Van Gundy, which is the very last thing that I want, because to me, with a good young core of players, with the opportunity to add a couple of max contracts down the line to the roster, with a war chest of first-round picks over the next few years to roster build with, the last thing in the world I wanted to see was this team going with some old retread for the sake of having somebody with experience. Give me a shot. Give me an experimental hire. Give me the opportunity to go find somebody, not just a guy that has league experience as an assistant, but preferably one off of a good basketball team. We got our first round of names. Denver Nuggets assistant David Adelman. I'd say the Nuggets, the reigning, defending, undisputed NBA champs, are pretty good. Sacramento Kings assistant Jordi Fernandez. Light the beam. I like that. I like it because the Kings are a team that I absolutely think the Charlotte Hornets could, emulate moving forward. That's a team that did the exact same thing. They got a bunch of young talent. They built up. They found out who their guy was. They built up around the De'Aaron Foxes of the world. And this is a Kings team that went into the playoffs and made some noise last year. Probably going back in this year to make some noise. Next up on the list, Boston Celtics assistant coach Chris Lee. Boston got win number 60 this week. They have locked up the NBA's best record. They locked up the 1 seed in the East with about 4 weeks of basketball left in the regular season. Now, this may or may not translate to the playoffs, but the Boston Celtics this year are the NBA team. And again, a team that took some young talent, Tatum Brown. They went and found a vet big guy in Kristaps Porzingis, and they have put together a team that as of right now is the betting favorite to win the NBA Finals. That is a methodology the Hornets could absolutely emulate. And finally, Phoenix Suns assistant Kevin Young. Now, these are not the only names that the Buzz are going to talk to. Adrian Wojnarowski is reporting that the Hornets are expected to pursue permission to interview other candidates over the next few days. So I suspect when we come back in here on Monday, we will have a few more dudes that are added to that list. We will find out. I like this list because with the exception of Phoenix, all of the other teams in question have followed a similar model to what I think the Buzz could follow. All of these other teams found their young talent, found their stars, catered to them, built to them, and the majority, not all, but the majority of them went and found a coach who knows how to communicate to them. I think one of the things that is going on right now, really across sports, but across the NBA specifically, and you don't have to like it, it doesn't mean it stops being a reality. I think that the ability to communicate from coach to player, I think it's being lost to some degree. I think there's a lot of coaches who think it is still 1994. I think there's a lot of coaches who think that old school drill instructor type methodology to communicating with players is the right way to do it. And I mean, maybe for you it is. Maybe for you it is. But players don't respond. Well, I'm not going to say all players. A lot of players do not respond to that. I think it used to be a very good way of communicating. But I don't think players really respond to that anymore. And I think a lot, not all, but a lot of the coaches that you are seeing nowadays that are finding success in the NBA, in the NFL, a lot of the coaches that are finding success, the way that they are finding success is by allowing players to have a little bit more power over the team, to have a little bit more control over the team and over themselves. I would like to see the Hornets go that direction because the talent is there. And oh, by the way, this team is young and only going to get younger because the primary method of building this roster out over the next few years is going to be the draft, not trades. I think there is the chance you could go find a veteran big man, but who's to say the Buzz don't end up with a Zach Edey over the next couple of years? Who's to say they don't end up with Donovan Clingan over the next couple of years? A classic five because you're set with the guards, so you get a classic true five. But again, another young guy. I like the list of teams that they are considering assistance from because I think the list of teams that they are considering assistance from are all teams that have followed a similar methodology, have followed a similar approach to building out a roster and to developing that roster. And I think that's part of the reason Steve Clifford was going to step down because Clifford has that old school coaching mentality. And I don't know that that is going to succeed with the roster that Charlotte's going to build over the next couple of years. There's a lot of folks in the national media that are really intrigued by what the Hornets can do over the next couple of years because they have got a ton of resources. They sacrificed this year. They went out, made some trades with Boston, picked up some resources. They can build. But I think they've got to go new age. I think they need to emulate what the Kings have done, emulate what the Nuggets have done. And I think if they do that, they got a real shot to be good in the future. Let's run to a break. When we come back here, we will round out our number one of the radio broadcast. We dive head first into the Final Four. We got to talk men's and women's, and we will at 7 o'clock straight up. We got your water cooler cheat sheet, the top 3 sports stories that you need to know before you get to the office today. In the second hour of the show, can anybody beat UConn? Can Alabama beat UConn? We're going to talk about that. We'll talk about the other side of the bracket as well. Can Cinderella keep dancing, or will the big bad Boilermakers blow the house down? Those are 2 separate fairy tales, I know, but it makes sense. Rob Lonzo and you on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. All right, let's go see if I can clear my nasal passages out.
I'm glad you told everyone that you're going to do that. Why not just do it live on the stream? Because, I mean, you already told everybody you're going to do it. You might as well get to see it.
I don't know that I want to see it.
Well, if you see it, then it's clear. I'm just saying. I mean, you know.
Go with it.
I don't know what it means. That's why I'm pointing.
Just hello.
Is it?
Yeah.
Not that part. The second one.
It's a toast.
Is it?
Cheers.
Oh, okay. I need my glasses on.
Those are champagne glasses.
I don't know what that. It looks like something else from here. I don't know. I don't know. Them adding the rap part to Cody's song. Does that mean he's about to go heel?
No.
That's what happened with Shinsuke. Speaking of Shinsuke, what happened with Shinsuke? He's just like totally dropped out of.
Yeah, they didn't let that dude go. Let him go back to Japan.
Maybe he'll win the Andre the Giant Battle Royal.
That'd be super dope. I'd be for it.
I wonder if Braun Breaker's in it, because if he is, I think he'll win it.
easy as it is free, and it's totally free. With over 300 channels and thousands of TV shows and movies, finding what you love has never been easier. Just download the app. Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never. Hi, Discover. It's Jennifer Coolidge. I'm so glad I can talk to you 24/7. How can I help? I bought these yellow-flooded pajamas, and I don't know if I can find them all.
Discover 24/7 US-based customer service. Limited to supply. Learn more at discover.com/credit card.
From the Ingles Market Studio, the fan.
Upstate. 97.7 FM Greenville. 97.1 FM Spartanburg.
Always live from the fields. CBS Sports Radio.
Wrapping up the first hour of the Rob Brown Show right here on The Fan Upstate. South Carolina taking on NC State tonight. To me, this game is Chloe Kitts. This game is Camila Cardoso. The shooting edge belongs to the Gamecocks. The scoring edge belongs to the Gamecocks. But the rebounds need to be frequent. The rebounds need to be often. The rebounds need to be consistent, start to finish, top to bottom. There's no way around it. The shooting edge belongs to NC State. The spread in this game is currently sitting at 11.5 in favor of the South Carolina Gamecocks. I think they're going to win this game. I don't have any question about this. The question I do have is, what does the rebounding margin look like? Here's some news and notes about the Wolfpack tonight. They are outscoring over the course of the season, outscoring their opponents by 13.5 points per game. They have a scoring differential of plus 502 on the season. They are averaging 73.8 points per game. That is the 47th best offense in college basketball. They are allowing, and this is one of those spots that it matters, they are allowing 60.3 per contest. That is the 79th best defense in college basketball. NC State scores fewer points in conference action than overall by about 1.5 points, which meant once they got into the tougher competition of the season, shocking I know, they scored fewer points, but only by 1 point and some change. The step down from their out of conference into their conference was not all that dramatic. That means they are a wildly consistent basketball team. On the road, the Pack scoring 69.9 points, nice, per game. That's on the road. The Wolfpack are posting 67.8 points per contest in their last 10. That is 6 fewer points than their average for the season at 73.8 points per game. But again, don't read too much into that statistic. This is when you include 10 games that date back to the ACC tournament and, of course, through the opening rounds of the NCAA tournament. It does not shock me that any team scores fewer points when they are away from home for that long, when they are traveling to so many different sites over a 1 month period, when they are on buses and airplanes and in hotel rooms. Of course, the point total is going to come down. That is no shock. For the Gamecocks, a scoring differential of plus 1,067 points on the season. They top their opponents by an average of 29.6 points per game. Now, you do have to keep in mind, that includes the 2 wins over Presbyterian, one in the regular season, one in the opening round of the NCAA Women's Tournament. They are putting up 85.6 points per game to rank 3rd in college basketball. They are allowing 56 per contest to rank 17th defensively. And just so we're very clear, balance wins tournament games. The reason that Purdue is where Purdue is on the men's side The reason that UConn, that Alabama are where they are in the men's side is because they are playing the most balanced basketball in the tournament. There is the age-old expression, offense sells tickets, defense wins championships. Everybody who has ever picked up a clipboard has used that phrase in the past. The reality is that's not true. In the tournament, it is all about balance. In the tournament, it is the higher your offensive and defensive efficiency are, the better off you are. That is why there was no world in which I was selecting Houston to the Final Four. I was not selecting Houston to the Final Four because they had arguably the best defense in college basketball, but their offensive efficiency was not good. This is why a lot of folks were out on Alabama. But a lot of folks didn't recognize some of the defensive efforts. Not every time, but some of the defensive efforts of Alabama. And once they got into the tournament, Alabama's defense took it to another level. Alabama's defense has been lights out in this tournament. That's why they are where they are. Why are the UConn Huskies a juggernaut on the men's side right now? It is because while their offense is remarkable, their defense is one of the best ones remaining right now. It stayed that way for a while. Balance wins you titles. That is why this is a Chloe Kitts and Camila Cardoso game. Because those two need to have the paint locked down. Because those two need to be trusted by the guards on the outside so that they can play the mid-range game. NC State wants to beat you from the mid-range. They want to beat you from the free throw line. They want to beat you from the short corner. They don't want to get down there and bang on the blocks. Or at least they won't in this game. They want to beat you in the mid-range. And if they can knock you off in the mid-range, that's where you get yourself in trouble. And that's why this is on Cardoso. That's why this is on Chloe Kitts. Because they have to lock down the middle and be trusted to lock down the middle so that the guards, so that the forwards can go out there on the outside, in the mid-range, play defense in the mid-range and not let NC State get there. If NC State's going to win this game, they're going to have to win it from the three-point line. And I do not know that they have the shooters to do that. So we'll see how it plays out. That game's 7 o'clock tonight. Very excited about it. Lady friend already told me that's what we're doing tonight. We got the Gamecocks on one screen. I got the Braves on the other. It's going to be a good day. All right, your thoughts on that game are welcome. 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N. You can also tweet us at The Rob Brown Show, at Lonzo One Word, at The Fan Upstate. Give us a buzz on the renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas Fan Phone at 844-326-3663, 844-326-3663. Water cooler cheat sheet. Top 3 sports stories you need to know when we come back. Sports Flash right now.
Because we haven't had enough of this, and we should, the next chapter of Gamecock basketball history could be written tonight when Don Staley and the number 1 ranked Gamecocks square off with the number 3 seed NC State Wolfpack. The Gamecocks enter as 11.5-point favorites. The winner of this matchup will square off with the winner of the showdown between consolation round Iowa and UConn. The litigation filed against the ACC by Florida State University took a big blow yesterday as a Mecklenburg, North Carolina judge denied 2 motions from FSU to dismiss a counter suit filed by the ACC against them. The ruling is a significant win for the conference. Tune in tomorrow starting at 4 p.m. for the NCAA men's basketball Final Four. NC State takes on Purdue and Alabama clashes with UConn right here on your home for the Final Four and the national championship game. The Fan Upstate. 3 more, man. You got this.
Dude, I'm struggling today. Real glad it's Friday.
I'm always glad it's Friday and Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday with you, the fine people watching this program. Kissing up to you gets me nothing, which is why you shouldn't doubt my sincerity. I touch my heart, but every time I hit my chest, I hurt myself. I'm secretly hoping that Danhausen like curses random people as they walk by, you know. What if any of those guys are rolling into town now? I'm sure the vendors and things like that are, because they set up all night.
Yeah,
and they just put up on Facebook a picture of the empty. It ain't gonna be empty after 10 tomorrow. 4 months. You know, I get it's algorithms and things, but I have nothing but wrestling on my Twitter feed. It's weird. Did you see? Well, I sent it to you. I think I sent. Did you see Drew McIntyre working out with Brian Cage?
No. Really?
Brian Cage is a spotter. Samantha Irvin's going to be the announcer for both nights.
She should be.
Sucks for the other guy. Is that Mike Rowe? No.
Mike Rowe?
Yeah, it's that guy.
Dirty jobs.
He's got a lot of jobs.
Style.
Yeah, he does. Do you find Martha Stewart's voice annoying? Her enunciation.
I do not. I really do not.
Maybe I'm jealous. I don't know.
Grandmotherly comforting.
When I hear her, I think of the Saturday Night Live skit. Topless Martha Stewart. Ugh, there's Rhea Ripley. Get that off my feed.
Said no man ever.
Used to be really pretty and then decided to do a gimmick to
smoke show.
No.
One thing is gimmick. She was literally getting tattoos at FanFest yesterday.
Yeah, I know. That's what it's a gimmick. I mean, when she first came in, she looked like a normal person.
Pretty blonde bombshell was the gimmick.
No, that's the real her.
Yeah, you know her personally.
I know everyone. I represent everyone. That means I know everyone. I mean, that's how that works. You've just been in top so much, 1%. You don't know about us little people. You look really angry right now.
I don't get your need to be so conflict oriented this morning. You are conflict oriented this morning.
Do you really not get it? Do you really not get it? I'm getting you through, man. I am getting you through. I'm doing what I have to do to get you through.
So if I tell you I'm good, I'm great, I'm in good shape, then you'll.
I those do look like Yoo-hoo bottles. Warriors. I gotta tell you. Now I could back off. I could stop having fun and stop trying to motivate you for the next 3 hours, which I've been. I had to kick it in early on. I'm a team player. It may sound like I'm not, but I am. I'm here to. I sometimes, someone's got to prop things up when things are struggling, which you have said.
You should all aspire to be what Lonzo is.
I'm willing to take the looks, the hatred, all that kind of stuff to get the adrenaline going. Because I've got adrenaline in my soul, but
something, Cody Rhodes. Look at Klay Thompson having it last night, knocking down off-screen trays. What a resurgence by dude.
Is he trying to get sixth man of the year? Is that what he's trying to do?
Legit, he might. He balls out like this off the. I don't actually know if he came off the bench last night. I tuned in for the last 20 minutes of that game. The Dubs put up 100 in 3 quarters. Never let the Rockets back into it. Steph Curry was just out of his mind last night. There it is. There he goes. There's the bottles. Oh, they're plastic. All right, they're water bottles. Whatever. It's still hysterical.
So they won't even make it. Well, I guess they'll make a noise. Not like the glass noise though. Yeah, he wouldn't want to risk that on the
Steph
bench.
Curry to miss the play in because he's got shattered fingers from glass bottles breaking.
Not just that, the pieces could have went into people sit really close on the sidelines of a basketball game. So, is it a sideline?
Yeah.
Would you call that a sideline?
It is a sideline.
Okay, all right.
It is a sideline.
Thought that was only in football. I don't know.
No, they're sidelines.
They sit really close to the court. There we go.
You know what? Here's a random thing that I noticed during the Charlotte game. I mean, I've noticed this before, but it just stuck out to me for some reason for the Charlotte game. I understand why the NBA is going to sell tickets for people to sit like literally with their feet on the sideline.
Yeah, those people pay a lot of money to sit
Can I tell you
there.
what I don't get? What I don't get is the seats where the fans are on the sideline between the team and the scorer's table. You seen this? It's like between the scorer's table where players check in and out of the game, there's like 15 seats between them and the benches, the players' benches, where fans sit now. So whenever a player's going to check into the game, he's got to run down the sideline just like in front of 15 people who are courtside. I cannot understand why it is that those tickets are tickets.
Well, Rob, let me explain something to you. And we've talked about this many times on this program. Money.
I mean, yes, that is.
I mean, if the outrageous prices that people pay to be that close, of course you're going to add more seats so more people can pay more.
You know who was at the game in one of those seats?
Who would that be?
Donnie Wahlberg.
Yeah.
Donnie Wahlberg came down to support his Celtics. They showed him on the screen, and Donnie Wahlberg got booed. It was awesome. It was awesome.
He's in Blue Bloods, right?
I have no idea. That's a TV show, Blue Bloods?
Yeah.
Never watched it.
I'm pretty sure it's my wife really likes that show. I'm pretty sure it's Donnie. Is
that the one with Tom Selleck in it?
Yeah. Yeah. I think Donnie is one of his sons. Now I gotta look it up.
I know Donnie was in New Kids on the Block.
He was. Hanging tough.
And that's it. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, it's 7:04 in the morning. You are less than an hour away from clocking in for the day. You are less than an hour away from getting your workday started. You are less than an hour and, I don't know, I'm guessing like 17 minutes away from going, I need a break. And when it's time to take that break, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to make your way on down to wherever it is that you and your workplace proximity associates gather to discuss current events in life, including all the things going on in the world of sports. And if you are going to talk sports with your friends today at the office, you're going to need to know what's going on in the world of sports. And if you need to know what's going on in the world of sports, you need this.
Feel me? For real. Do you feel him, sir?
I do.
That might be an HR violation if you say that. And by the water cooler, maybe you shouldn't say that. By the water cooler.
Adrenaline in my soul. Water Cooler Cheat Sheet, top 3 sports stories you need to know before you start talking sports with your friends, your family, your coworkers, your colleagues, your comrades, your workplace proximity. Dude, I'm going to get through it.
All them people that's like standing there around the cooler. Those people.
Them people. Item number 1. As we have mentioned a couple of times on this radio broadcast today, ladies and gentlemen, your NCAA Women's Final Four takes place tonight. First tip, 7 p.m. when the South Carolina Gamecocks square up with the Wolfpack of NC State. Now, ESPN's basketball power prognosticator predictor thingamajigger currently says, oh, no. And that is how you get me to never come back to your website. Right there. Okay, we're good. I fixed it. Never come back to your website. Your website is banned from show prep. 83.8% chance to win the game.
You just made the list.
83.8% chance to win this matchup for the South Carolina Gamecocks. Of course, they are, I was going to say 10-0 in their last 10. They're 36-0 in their last 36. I think that's the mark you need to pay attention to, but this is a good Wolfpack team, a 31-win Wolfpack team, a team that has not taken a loss since they played at Duke, a 69-58 L that dates back to February 25th, with one exception, that exception being against Notre Dame in the ACC tournament final, which, of course, as if you're a basketball fan, you know, you like to win them, but you ain't that worried about it so much as you are punching yourself the best possible ticket. The NC State Wolfpack is a good team. It is a good team. It is not a great game. Isaiah James, their guard, averaging 16 points per game, averaging a 42% field goal completion percentage. Sanaya Rivers is a guard. She wears number 22. She's dishing out 4 assists per game to go with her 13 points. You have across the front line, you have about 34 points of offense just out of the 2 guards. They are going to play, as I mentioned, the mid-range small ball game, which means that whoever is in the game, whether it is Chloe Kitts or whether it is Camila Cardoso or whether it is a combination of the two post players, whether they are on their own or working in tandem, have got to lock down the defense on the block, because your guards and your forwards have got to be free to defend the mid-range jumper, to defend inside the 3-point line. Listen, if NC State beats you from the 3-point line, they beat you from the 3-point line. You're going to have to give up something somewhere, because if you're going to give up the mid-range jumper, they're going to get you. And if you're going to have your post players playing wider out, playing outside those blocks, playing up to the free throw line, you're going to lose to the ball movement. You're going to lose the ball movement. They're just going to reverse, skip, reverse, reverse until they find a spot, and they're going to knock it down. Lock down the defense under the basket and get rebounds. That's the game. You do those things, you win the game. I think that game tips off at 7 p.m. and then at 9 p.m., the other side of the bracket, the game that outside of South Carolina, America has been waiting for. Paige Buckets Beckers taking on Caitlin the Ace Clark. This one's going to be real good. The Iowa Hawkeyes are 33-4 and a 1 seed. The UConn Huskies are 33-5. They're a 3 seed that a lot of folks probably, or a lot of folks do believe, probably should have been the 4th 1 seed. They get bumped all the way down to 3. Going into this game, Caitlin Clark and her Hawkeyes are a 2.5-point favorite. The over-under on this game, the total on this game is 162.5. I don't think I need to tell you how ridiculous that is for a total. Alabama UConn's total is 161. UConn v. Iowa on the women's side has a higher point total than Alabama versus UConn. That's insane. I cannot wait for this game. I will be staying up past my bedtime to watch this game with that 9 p.m. tip. That's item number one. Let's move on to item number two. I'm actually going to stick with women's college basketball here. This one less about the game itself and more about the popularity, more about the visibility of the game. The average price being paid for a ticket on the resale market this week, according to ESPN, the average price of a ticket sold to the Final Four is $2,332. $2,323 for the women's game. A men's Final Four ticket right now, Alabama, UConn, Purdue, NC State, $1,001.21. A ticket to go to the women's Final Four with the Gamecocks and the Wolfpack, with the Huskies and the Hawkeyes. A ticket to go see the women play on average on the resale market cost more than twice what it cost to go see the men play this year. The women's games today are are well over 3 times higher than the same tickets to last year. Last year's Final Four on the women's side, you could pick up a ticket for right at $400. This year, an average ticket, $2,323. Look, I don't need to spend a bunch of time on this. I don't need to sit here and argue that this game has increased dramatically in popularity. I don't need to make that argument because you all just heard those numbers I just read to you, right? You all just heard the fact that the popularity of these tickets is so to the moon that it costs you double what it costs to go see the men play. Double what it costs to go see the men play.
So this has nothing to do with possibly seeing one of the greatest players of all time in college basketball?
Oh, 100% it does. Not one of, two of. Paige Beckers for UConn, Caitlin Clark for Iowa. And I will absolutely say, and this is interesting, I do want to get to this at some point during the show. I will absolutely say, you remember yesterday we were talking about the fact that Dawn Staley is, for the 4th time in her career, your NCAA Women's Basketball Coach of the Year. The reason I said, or I believe, that Dawn Staley is once again your NCAA Women's Basketball Coach of the Year. The reason I believe that is because of the fact that she does not have a true number one superstar. She's got a lot of very good players that could play any school they wanted to go play at. But she does not have a Caitlin Clark. She does not have a Paige Beckers. She does not have a Juju McDowell. She doesn't have any of those players. She's got a bunch of really good players, probably more good players than any other team, but she doesn't have that ace, that one that you lean on. And yet, they're the undefeated team. The reality here is Caitlin Clark, as I have mentioned, Caitlin Clark is the face of college basketball right now. Not women's, just the sport of college basketball. And if you get a chance to watch her play, you're going to go watch her play. Paige Beckers, before she tore her ACL before last season, Paige Beckers was everything that Caitlin Clark turned into this year. And I would even go one step further, whereas Caitlin Clark has over the last year kind of started getting a bit of a reputation as somebody who spends a lot of time whining about officials' calls. You know who else believes that about her? Her dad. Her dad. That clip from, what was it, the Elite Eight, when they showed her dad in the stands while she was complaining about a call, and you could see him go, stop, was incredible. That's a sports dad being a good sports dad. Paige Beckers doesn't really have that reputation. There is something about, say, Angel Reese that seems to grate on people. Haley Van Lith has entered the transfer portal. She'll be leaving LSU. I don't blame her after what happened to her in the Elite Eight. We'll talk about that. Paige Beckers is really the one player that goes out there, dominates, and outside of that, you don't really hear from her. You don't see her complaining about calls. You don't see her getting in the face. You don't see her dropping "you can't see me's" and pointing at the ring finger. She just goes out, she balls, she goes home. That's great. So the fact that you have those two up against each other, I absolutely think this has to do with who is playing in this game. But I also think that's important. I think it is important because there have been plenty of elite women's college basketball players that have come through the ranks. I very much remember watching Candace Parker ball out back in the day. Candace Parker was a revolutionary character at her time, but back then, people still weren't going to get on board, even with Candace Parker doing Candace Parker things. It was just, you just did not watch women's basketball. And here we are at a spot where they have got 13 million people tuning into games on average, outpacing NBA games. Outpacing NBA Finals games. And a lot of that has to do with the superstars, regardless of the reason why. If I would have told you, Great One, 1 year ago today, after last year's, that next year's Final Four tickets for the women's were going to cost more than double the men's, I don't think you or anybody else would have believed me.
Aren't those numbers a little bit skewed, though? People, they always throw this up. This one had a higher, this, but they're never going head to head.
I mean,
do you get what I'm saying though? I mean, this has a better rating than this event, but you're not going head to head with that event. I think that would be a clearer statement. If these college games were going head to head with an NBA playoff game.
I get your point, and I'm not going to super push back. My knee-jerk reaction to that comment would be, all of these games, in fact, I'll go one step further. Ordinarily, these games, I would stack them up because during the NBA playoffs, nobody counter programs NBA playoff games. Nobody can. There's nothing else on. I mean, outside of your regular primetime TV schedule, there's no other sports going on during that.
It may seem like I'm coming at the women's game. I'm not. I'm talking about overall in sports. This is always a measuring stick. This game did more than this game, but they're never going head to head. So it's not truly a competition.
I get it. Again, I'm not pushing back with you. I'm just going to say, to me, the fact that a women's college basketball game that happened on a weeknight, when I put it into comparison with an NFL playoff, an NBA playoff game that also happens on a weeknight against no other sports is interesting. You know what will be a really good test this upcoming tonight, Friday night. Friday night's notoriously difficult to get TV ratings for any sport. Notoriously difficult to get television ratings on a Friday night. You will notice that, since TGIF's lineup back in the day, nobody really goes hard in the paint on Friday night primetime television programming because it's just too tough to get numbers. Here they go on a Friday night. If these games, specifically Iowa versus UConn, if they turn in another 12.5, 13 million viewer night, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say they're over. It's official.
What if they get beat by SmackDown?
I'm going to say that while I can't know for sure right now, that won't happen. Even go home WrestleMania SmackDown, I do not think it's going to touch. If SmackDown gets 2 million viewers, it was an all-time SmackDown. The last women's game with Iowa got 13 million.
I'm just curious. I mean, technically, it's going up against a sporting event with a lot of eyes on it right now.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah,
it's going up against a lot. There is a great baseball schedule tonight. You got Friday night SmackDown. You've got NBA games, and now we're effectively in the playoffs now for the teams in the bottom half of the NBA playoff conference races. It's up against a lot tonight. If this thing turns in 10 million viewers, I think we can officially say, yep, people care. People care. And again, no matter what it's up against, the men's play on Saturday, a much better sports day to go to a game. Women's tickets cost you over twice as much right now to go see them play. I don't know what else there is to say about it. That's big time. All right. Real quick, let's go to item number 3. I am not going to spend a ton of time on this now because we are about to do a full segment about it coming up in the very next segment. But a Mecklenburg County judge denied 2 motions by Florida State University yesterday to stay a lawsuit filed by the ACC that the league hopes will force the school to honor its grant of rights agreement and pay the conference more than $500 million if they hope to exit before the next 13 years. The ruling came down yesterday. It is being considered a significant win for the Atlantic Coast Conference and a huge blow against Florida State's litigation in return to that conference trying to get out. This impacts FSU, but it impacts Clemson as well. And when we come back, we're going to get into the gory details of what this ruling means for FSU, what it means for Clemson, what it means for the schools trying to get out of the conference. We will break that down next on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate.
What? Something oddly hypnotic about watching the shadows on that building. Some cars go by on the freeway.
Yeah.
As you can tell, some cars are going way too fast.
What up, y'all? It's your boy Danny Green, 3-time NBA champ. You either rooted for me or rooted against me. Join myself and my co-host Harrison Sanford on the Inside the Green Room podcast.
It's a podcast that brings you never before told tales from the locker room, to candid interviews with basketball legends, to breakdown of what's happening in the NBA right now. Whether you're a diehard fan or casual about your hoops, this podcast brings you the game like never before.
Follow Inside the Green Room on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Sponsored by ChumbaCasino.com. Play social games online for free. Head to ChumbaCasino.com now to join the Chumba fun. And experience the thrill of
Jumba!
Chumba. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void or prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Can't wait to hear what's next on Wire to Wire with Cole and Diesel. Tell me what's coming up.
On the next Wire to Wire, South Carolina baseball has dropped 3 of their last 4 and 3
NASCAR update. And would you be okay with facial recognition as your team tool? Diesel and Cole Bryce.
What's a Tolo? I know it's what they're calling their listeners, but I missed whenever they said whatever it is.
It's commercials. I have a hard time hearing them.
The Rob Brown Show on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. Robin Lonzo with you. Big news as far as Florida State's efforts to get out of the ACC. Obviously, with Clemson a couple of weeks ago joining them in those litigation efforts, this is big for them as well. Yesterday, a Mecklenburg County judge, Mecklenburg, of course, up around the Charlotte, North Carolina area, denied 2 motions by FSU to either dismiss or stay a lawsuit filed by the ACC that the league hoped would force the school to honor its grant of rights agreement and pay the conference more than $500 million if the school hopes to exit for another conference before 2036. Judge Lewis A. Bledsoe III is seen as a significant win, the ruling is, as it would likely mean the battle between the league and FSU will now proceed in North Carolina rather than Florida. Remember, FSU filed their lawsuit down in Leon County, where Tallahassee is. The ACC filed its lawsuit in Charlotte on December 21st in anticipation of a lawsuit by FSU in Florida, which came after approval by that school's Board of Trustees the following day. FSU's lawsuit seeks to extricate the university from the ACC's grant of rights, a contract that gives the conference ownership of FSU's television media rights through June of 2036, while the ACC suit, obviously the exact opposite. It seeks to uphold the grant of rights agreement that Florida State signed. Now, why is this so big? We have talked about this at length in the past. The answer is multifaceted. One is that in Florida, typically, and this is according to a legal breakdown that I read and watched yesterday on YouTube, because that's where you learn stuff. That's where you get learned stuff.
Judge Judy presiding, or
I'll tell you right now, I will still watch him, Judge Judy. Judge Judy don't play, boy. I wish I had the level of don't give a that Judge Judy has. She truly does not care.
I'm more of a Wapner guy, but he's been dead for a while.
So you're not that then.
So I guess
who's the best TV judge? It's Judge Judy. The real judges, not like character judges.
I think Wapner was like the original. So
I don't know who that is.
Right. That's. I mean, when it first started, I'm pretty sure it was Wapner.
Judge Judy is goated. Judge Judy is goated. Anyway, the Florida law, Florida legal system has 2 things that, to me, made it appealing for and made Florida State want to have that lawsuit take place in the Sunshine State. Number 1 is that Florida law typically offers preference to the entity that files the first lawsuit. It was the ACC, but Florida, obviously, Florida State, hosting it in Tallahassee, was likely to have home court advantage in this case. You were likely to have more people who would be sympathetic to Florida State. You would likely have more people who attended, graduated Florida State working behind the scenes. You would have had a home court advantage that made it appealing. Second off, Florida as a state is usually a lot more lenient when it comes to the operating rights of business, but smaller business entities. This is from a discussion that I had with somebody who works in Florida law yesterday. So Florida State was trying to get a home court advantage And Florida State was trying to have this lawsuit held not just where it had the home court advantage, but also in a state that was more likely to be sympathetic. Obviously, with the ACC's HQ being in Charlotte, having the lawsuit play out in Charlotte would provide the ACC with all the benefits and advantages that Florida State was trying to get by filing their suit down in Tallahassee. But I think it ended up going this way because, well, the ACC is based in Charlotte, North Carolina. The ACC's contract with Florida State was drafted in, signed, and executed in North Carolina. And this judge was basically saying, hey, if it was good enough for you to come here and sign the lawsuit, if it was good enough, or sign the agreement. If it was good enough for you to come here and sign the agreement, to agree to it here, etc., and if we did have the agreement filed in North Carolina, then North Carolina, it makes sense, is where this would happen. Florida State had argued for dismissal or a stay from the ACC's lawsuit based in part on a claim of sovereign immunity, which prevents states from being sued in another state. Florida State, as a state institution, was making the argument, hey, we are part of the state. You can't sue Florida as a state in North Carolina. If you want to bring a lawsuit against Florida, you have to do it in Florida. And as we are a state institution controlled and operated by the state government, we should be considered part of the state. During hearings on FSU's notion to dismiss, the ACC's attorney suggested the school's legal team was playing a, quote, game of whack-a-mole, end quote, in trying numerous unsubstantiated tactics in an effort to get the ACC suit thrown out. Yeah, that's how court systems work. That's how it goes. You try things to get your way until either you get your way or you can't get your way anymore, and then you're screwed. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. But the ACC clearly did a good enough job arguing to the contrary that if it was good enough, if Florida State felt confident enough to come up and sign the contract in North Carolina, base the contract out of North Carolina, that North Carolina should be the venue where the next round of litigation takes place. And they got their way. They got their way. Florida State said in a statement, quote, although it's highly unusual for a court to dismiss a lawsuit at this initial stage, we are disappointed in the court's decision not to dismiss the North Carolina lawsuit. At the same time, we appreciate the ruling today that Florida State could not have breached any supposed fiduciary duties to the ACC by seeking legal relief from the conference's gross mishandling of member schools' media rights. We will continue to aggressively advocate for the university, for FSU athletics, and for the sovereignty of the state of Florida as these cases proceed. Now, what's next in this case? Well, the first thing that's next is Florida State's going to appeal this decision. I don't think it's going to matter. Again, I'm not an attorney, nor did I stay in a Holiday Inn Express last night, but I don't know that it's going to matter. I think there is a good enough basis, a good enough argument that was put forward in this decision in the first place that I don't think there's going to be a judge anywhere in North Carolina or elsewhere that are going to be willing to step on this judge's toes to overturn it. I just don't think there's enough merit to overturn. We will see. But I do think that they are going to appeal it. If they do appeal it, this thing, if you want to know how serious this is being taken, this thing has a, I'm not going to say good, I am going to say relatively good chance to end up in front of the Supreme Court of North Carolina. I obviously don't think this is going to make it all the way to the Supreme Court, but I do think the appeals process could eventually lead to this being held in front of the North Carolina State Supreme Court. Of course, about a half month ago, Clemson joined Florida State, filing their own lawsuit in Pickens County, South Carolina, arguing that the grant of rights should not apply should the school choose to leave the ACC, and that the league's requirement that any departing teams also pay an exit fee of 3 times the conference's annual revenue was excessive. The ACC filed its own countersuit against Clemson, also in Charlotte, a day later. So I don't know. Nobody's been able to tell me so far. I need to do a little more research on this. I don't know if Clemson's lawsuit has that we want this heard in South Carolina aspect like Florida's does. I don't know if it does or doesn't. But if it does, this obviously sets precedent for the ACC to win any countersuit against Clemson as well. And obviously they do have a countersuit going. It's very similar to the one that they have going against Florida State. That's basically saying, hey, man, you signed the paperwork. The argument, because I just got a text that said, Rob, what are they actually arguing over? The actual argument is this. Florida State and now Clemson are making the argument that the Atlantic Coast Conference, when they were constructing and orchestrating the grant of rights, and when they were going through that era of conference expansion that we all went through, and when they were signing their television contracts, Florida State and Clemson are claiming that the ACC did not at the time act in good faith for the betterment, for the best possible outcome of its member institutions. And again, I told you a couple of months ago, we had that story came out that the former commish had a kid who was a mid-management guy at one of the TV networks. And after that TV network got a big slice of the ACC pile, his son suddenly within a couple of days got promoted to an executive vice president's position. And Florida State's going, wait a damn minute. Wait a minute. You're telling me this guy signed a very mid deal compared to what we're seeing other conferences get. Signed a very average deal. And then his kid ended up getting promoted to an executive position within a couple of days. How does no one else see that this is, I don't know if that's quid pro quo. And I don't know if that's the argument that FSU is gonna make there. But I think what they are going to do is they are going to say, all right, the CW, we need you guys to provide any evidence to us that this kid was in line for a promotion before this deal got signed. Because what it feels like to me is daddy signed a deal with Baby Boy's TV company to give him a big chunk of the ACC's pie and therefore income. And then because you got daddy to sign that contract with Baby Boy's TV company, said TV company gave Baby Boy a nice ride in a company car. And we're not good with that. But the fact that this is going to be, or at least right now, pre-appeals, the fact that this case is going to go to North Carolina, I think is a pretty bad situation for Florida State. I think having home court advantage. See that? See what I did there? Home court advantage.
Yeah, I got that. I was. So that's a dad thing. Okay, all right.
How do you judge that joke?
Wow.
See that? See what I did there? In fairness, I don't think that reaction did it justice, though.
Yeah, but it's me. I mean, it's really hard to get me to laugh out loud.
Right.
So,
Did it justice?
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right.
Judge.
Fine.
It.
Okay. Yeah. I just sorry.
I found out yesterday. Did you know there is any national pun championship competition?
Are you in training right now? Is that what we're doing?
Dude, I was listening to some of it because I'm a dork. I'm not even in their game, bro. Not even in their game. I may have to go pull my favorite pun rant. They bring it's mostly kids. It's like a spelling bee, but for puns. They bring kids up, put them on a stage with microphones, and then they give them a topic and then like a situation, and they have to work puns from the topic into the situation.
Is this like a freestyle rap battle?
Kinda, but puns.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's pretty spectacular. Anyway, I think this is actually kind of a big deal. I think it's a big deal for Florida State. Obviously, they lose home court advantage. They do not have what I think was a more friendly legal system in the state of Florida at their back. And on top of that, now they just got to go to North Carolina a bunch of times. It is obviously, on the other hand, it is a big gain for the Atlantic Coast Conference, because there is the thought, at least, that folks within the North Carolina legal system obviously would give preference and deference to North Carolina businesses should they be challenged, should they be litigated against by outside entities. So if a in this case school, but an entity from Florida was to come to North Carolina and file a lawsuit against them, it is understandable that authorities within that state would give deference and preference to the entity from that state. We want to protect those who live, work, play, and do business in our state. So they will get the leniency, they will get the leeway in this court case. And I think there's a good chance that's what happens here. Now, if Clemson tries to have their case held in Pickens County, South Carolina, which I'm assuming that they would, the NCAA now has a leg up on Clemson. They now have precedent. They can now, whenever that comes, go to whatever judge is going to hear that out and say, hey, it's already been ruled. It's already been ruled that these cases are best heard in our state. So just go ahead, lay that same law down, and let's move on. Which means that Clemson would be joining Florida State in Mecklenburg County to make their case in the home of the Atlantic Coast Conference HQ. So that's the most recent breaking news. I think this makes Florida State and Clemson's life a lot tougher. Like a lot tougher. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up hour number 2. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. Rob Lonzo and you on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
I mean, I can jump back in. I mean, I'm willing to go full on team if need be.
Full on what?
Team. Yeah. What do you think I said? T?
I didn't hear you.
Okay. Don't tell me I have to try to over-enunciate when we're off the air. All you hear when I talk is blah, blah, blah anyway. So.
What?
Nothing.
The Hornets have dropped 3 in a row and 9 of their last 10. Head coach Steve Clifford announced that he will be stepping down at the end of the season to pursue a front office role with the organization. Download the Odyssey app and search The Fan Upstate. Then listen anywhere on your phone. I'm Tony DeZiria, and that's your
Lonzo's Southern lawyer impression. Hi, Christopher. How we doing, bud? Good. I'm here. We're just living the dream.
I was curious. I got a
Hang on, stream. We'll be right back. Stay right there. on and wrapping up hour number 2 of the Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Upstate. Robin Lonzo along with you as we roll through a Friday. Real quick follow-up to yesterday's story about the college football super conference that has been proposed by a group of college football presidents and, quote, sports executives, as the Athletic labeled them. I got into it yesterday with a couple of buddies. We were talking about this last night. And I said yesterday on the show, and they got kind of frustrated with me, but I'm standing by it. I'm sorry to say, kind of a waste of time to talk about, if we're being honest. The illustration that I used yesterday would be like, this is if me and Lonzo were discussing what colors we're going to paint our Lamborghinis. Could I come up with a real fun discussion about, why black's the way to go or red's the way to go? Or, I wouldn't go red because statistically speaking, red sports cars stand out more than other color sports cars. So I wouldn't go red. I would go black.
Yeah, I would never drive a red car because you're
sure.
just saying, "Hey, policeman,
look at me."
Exactly.
Right, exactly. That wouldn't make sense. That'd be a crazy decision to make. Point here is, yeah, we could have a fun discussion. And by the way, a discussion that had a lot of very valid points to it. Yes, pointing out that cops are usually drawn to red sports cars before anything else. Pointing out that, white looks real sleek, but you're going to have to wash your car every 3 days in the spring. Black is great, but in the summertime, black cars trap heat faster. Your car's going to take forever to cool off. Like there's good points and accurate points to be made for sure. But at the end of the day, the conversation is kind of pointless because realistically speaking, neither Lonzo or I are ever going to own a Lamborghini.
I wish you quit using this analogy.
Why, you want a Lamborghini?
No, because of Rashid Rice.
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
Turns out, by the way, he was driving the Lamborghini.
Lonzo and I, in fairness, would never speed in our Lamborghinis.
No, we would not.
Certainly never race in our Lamborghinis. Also, what kind of dork you got to be in a Corvette and race a Lamborghini? And for the record, I'm a Corvette guy. All right?
I believe, unless I'm wrong, that Rashid also owned the Corvette.
He did.
So one of his buddies apparently was in the Corvette.
Yep.
But I was right. He wasn't dumb enough to think that a Corvette. It just Lamborghinis for a while now. I just don't want to hear it.
So Lonzo and I will sit here and describe how we're going to drive our Porsches.
There we go.
Our Ferraris. And what colors we want. But at the end of the day, it's a pointless conversation because
what's that car that James Bond drives?
Aston Martin.
There we go. Let's go with Aston Martins.
Okay. Lonzo and I can sit here and talk about what color we'd paint our Aston Martin and whether we want the caltrops or the oil slick in the back, whether we want machine guns behind the lights or missile launchers under the hood. Like, we could go through this all. I'll ask Rashad Beard what his preference is in his spy car.
Ejector seat is a must.
Ejector seat on the passenger side. The point here is we could have all these discussions, but we're never going to ride Aston Martin, so it's kind of pointless. That's how I feel about this discussion about the super team thing. Like, could we sit here and draw up some spectacular plans? Could we come up with some excellent regions and conferences and ways to keep great rivalry games together and ways to create new ones, etc., etc., etc.? Absolutely. We could come up with some incredible maps. We could come up with some incredible formulas about who makes the expanded playoffs. Well, you're going to take the 8 conference champions all go plus the next, 5 at-large or 6 at-larges, the next 6 highest ranked. We'd have all this fun in the world. But here's the reality. The reality is this will lose the Big Ten money. This will lose the SEC money. This will lose ESPN money. This will lose Fox Sports money. Why? Because exclusivity is what gets you paid. ESPN is getting paid because they have exclusive rights to the most popular college football league on planet Earth. Fox has got big bucks coming in because they have exclusive rights to the second most popular football conference on planet Earth. And this new plan would obligate them to give up that exclusivity. Why the hell are they going to do that? And why would the schools inside of those conferences say, yes, we will definitely take more money. We will definitely take less money in order for you guys to make other schools happy. My dudes, my dudettes. If these schools gave a single solitary flying you-know-what about the happiness of other schools, we wouldn't have the two super conferences as it stands. This never would have happened. Florida does not give a good gosh darn about the financial well-being or emotional standing of Florida State's football team and fans. South Carolina, I've lived here long enough. They don't give a flying you-know-what about the happiness and joy that Clemson fans feel on football Saturdays. They don't care. If they cared about that, we wouldn't be having this discussion in the first place. But we are. Because at the end of the day, the money drives the decisions. And the money move here is to just continue doing what you are doing. The money move here is to allow the two big television networks to have their exclusivity, to allow the two big television networks to have their moments in the sun, to allow the two big television networks to own the rights to those, and then to pay the schools in those conferences for it. That's it. That's all that makes sense. That is the only way for them to make sure they are still rolling in that cheddar when it all comes down and the piper gets paid. This is how you do it. Do I like the idea? I frankly love the idea. I love the idea. I love it because you can build back geographical divisions that put emphasis on playing the local teams closest to you. I love that it lets you keep close rivalries together, but doesn't obligate you for them. I love that this would spread the wealth around. It would have a lot more teams having a lot more opportunities to win divisional championships and get themselves into the playoffs. I love the promotion relegation to get teams to bust it to get in or stay in. I love all of it, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because I don't have $1 billion to hand out to do it my way. That's just how it is. That's just how it is. All right. Texter said, Rob, incorrect. I do care about the emotional state of Clemson football on Saturdays. I hope they're miserable. LOL. That's fair. That's fair. You know what I meant. Texter said, how about a Testarossa? Oh, the Testarossa was my jam growing up. One of the first die-cast models I ever put together with the old man was a Testarossa.
I don't think I know what that is. I have to look it up. Maybe once I see it, I'll recognize it.
It's a beautiful ride. It's a Ferrari.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Beautiful ride. It's actually the first What a memory. Thanks, Texter. You didn't know you were going to bring an old memory up. One of the first that I put one of the first models I put together with the old man back in the day.
Was it a snap or was it glue?
No.
It was straight up glue? Oh.
It was a real model, man. Then we painted it. It's good stuff. It was, of course, I painted it red. Beautiful, beautiful. All right, we got some more texts. I'll run through them later on in the show. But when we come back, let's get to the Final Four on the men's side. Let's get to the Final Four on the women's side. We get South Carolina taking on NC State in a border battle later on this evening. Then Caitlin the Ace Clark taking on Paige Buckets Beckers. Looking forward to that one at 9 o'clock. And then, of course, tomorrow, my big special precious boy, DJ Baby Burns and DJ Horn lead the Wolfpack into battle against Zach Edey and the Boilermakers. We'll break those games down. I'll tell you how the dogs can keep dancing when we come back after Lonzo does his sports flash.
Yay. The next chapter of Gamecock basketball history could be written tonight when Don Staley and number 1 ranked Gamecocks square off with the number 3 seed NC State Wolfpack. The Gamecocks enter as 11.5-point favorites. The winner of this matchup will square off with the winner of the showdown between Iowa and UConn. Steve Clifford announced on Wednesday he'd be stepping down as head coach of the Charlotte Hornets, and the Buzz are already on the hunt for the next head coach. Yesterday, they were given permission to interview 4 top assistant coaches for the position: Nuggets assistant David Adelman, Kings assistant Jordy Fernandez, Celtics assistant Charles Lee, and Suns assistant Kevin Young are the first on the list. Tune in tomorrow starting at 4 p.m. for the NCAA men's basketball Final Four. NC State takes on Purdue, and Alabama clashes with UConn right here on your home for the Final Four and the national championship game. The Fan, Upstate. Jam camps. Yeah. From stem to stern. I'm Bill Brooks. I don't know, Keegan. Here's my thing. Now I've added another belief to my Bill Brooks belief system, because I've never met Bill, that he is not only wearing a smoking jacket and an ascot, but a captain's hat while doing his traffic reports from his yacht. I'm seeing it. Maybe a little bit of Ted Knight kind of thing. I don't know. Thing about Bill Brooks, at least for me, when he speaks, I listen. I'm not saying it's a big yacht. It's not a Rob Brown yacht, but it's a yacht. Bill Brooks said from stem to stern. And now I'm picturing him in a smoking jacket with the ascot, with a captain's hat on, doing his traffic from a yacht. On the deck of the yacht. Maybe being served some sort of a fruity drink by scantily clad women. Because it's hot out there, you know. So.
I love the idea of doing traffic around a bunch of bikini chicks.
That's such a Bill Brooks thing.
He tried to throw it. Wow.
He did say from stem to stern, by the way. Oh, you're looking at that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Don't call him Bum Brooks. He's Bill Brooks for Boot Barn.
The Iron Horses are really stacked up on 385 today.
No, it's not Phil Brooks. No. He wishes he was that smooth. Turn your phone off, man. So unprofessional.
That's me.
Thank goodness we're not on the air. I'm going to you here. Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to you here.
Allow me to get mentally prepared.
Yeah!
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 WrestleMania weekend is upon us, dudes and dudettes. WrestleMania XL 40 set to go this weekend. Couple of main events. Seth freaking Rollins and Cody the American Nightmare Rhodes versus the final boss, Dwayne. It's less intimidating if you say it that way. And of course, our tribal chief, Roman Reigns. If the former win, it is a straight up match Sunday night for the title. If the latter win, it's bloodline rules. By the way, can I tell you real quick? Yesterday, I did my Thursday spot on BetMGM Tonight, right? Every single Thursday, I go on BetMGM Tonight, usually around 8:20. They had me on at 8 o'clock last night because they had a big national guest that only had the 8:20 slot. So I was on at 8 o'clock. And I checked in, and it was my guy, Ryan Horvat, and my homegirl, Trista Crick. And they introduced me, and they're like, all right, Rob, do you think NC State can cover up 9.5 against Purdue this weekend? And I said, oh, I'm sorry. I thought you guys had me here to talk WrestleMania. Trista, not a beat. She goes, let me tell you why I think let me tell you why I think Roman retains. And she went on this whole thing about how she thinks WWE wants to get rid of Hulk Hogan from the history books because of all the drama away from the ring and stuff that he has done and said. And the only way to do that is if Roman wins this thing. She said, but I think they can pivot the story away. And while I understand you can't knock a babyface, you've been built up. Trista goes off. Like this whole theory, the first 2 minutes of my interview on that radio show were listening to Trista Crick talk wrestling.
And you didn't have a problem with it at all?
Not even a little. Got done of the 12 minutes 12-ish minutes I do on that show, probably the first 6.5 were WrestleMania weekend breakdown. But it's a sports gambling show.
I was going to ask you, did we get to some
100%,
odds?
100%.
Okay.
They said, what do you think is the upset? What do you think is the upset that if you were going to put some WrestleMania bets down, what do you think is the biggest upset on the card that could reasonably take place? I said the biggest upsets on the card that could reasonably take place. Becky Lynch at 3-1. Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee at plus 170. I could see Sami Zayn at plus 110. I don't love it, but I think he could get there. I could see Rollins retaining at plus 350. Orton at plus 25 to win the U.S. Championship, I think is a fair pick. Io Sky at 4-1. I mean, there's a number. And once I started looking at it from the perspective of trying to pick an upset winner, there's actually 4 or 5 matches on this card that I could reasonably come up with a reason why the dog would get the over.
I'm really curious about I just had a thought, and I don't know why I didn't think about this before, because when I see an Ohio wrestler, I automatically kind of root for them. You kind of got one of your guys who is this why you acknowledge? Because Roman Reigns is from Pensacola. Is that why? Are you obligated to cheer for him because of that? Is there a part of you that just automatically like he's from where I'm from, so he's one of us kind of thing?
Last time SmackDown came and I found out we were going to be sitting hard cam, I wore my Pensacola Blue Wahoos jersey just to see if he pick it out. 100%. How do you not rep your guy? Plus, as Pat McAfee loves to point out accurately, he is our tribal chief. You don't have to like it. You do have to accept it.
I don't believe in tribalism. So,
Yes, you absolutely do.
I do believe in nightmares.
Trista came up with this whole theory on Cody going down and not finishing the story. Because apparently on McAfee's show, he's like, look, if I don't finish the story, if I don't get it done, I'm stepping away. I'll go to the broadcast booth. I'll go backstage. I'll do something else. But if I can't get it done on Sunday, I'm out. And she's like, what a way for him to walk off, right? You want to go off on your back? It allows Roman to go beat Hogan's record and take his name off the record books. I was like, I don't know, man. You spent 3 years building this cat up. 3 years with no payoff to a story. That's a long time. Could you imagine if you watched 3 years of Avengers movies and Thanos won?
I expect an acknowledgement text from you when someone cashes in their money in the bank on Cody right after he wins it.
I don't think you do it on Cody.
Oh, the devastation. Oh, the anger. Oh, just the waves of emotion throughout all of wrestling. It would be
hilarious.
It would be amazing.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You can tell stories where the bad guys win. In fact, I think you kind of have to. I think you have to tell stories where the bad guys win. If you tell stories and the bad guys never win, there's no reason to get invested in the stories.
Wouldn't be the first time a cash-in happened at WrestleMania when someone finally, if I recall, beat Brock Lesnar and might have been some guy from Pensacola.
Sure was.
And then his buddy come down and cashed in on him.
The heist of the century.
And then he had the belt for how long?
Seth had it for a while after that, didn't he?
No, I'm talking
Roman?
about Roman had it for how long before that happened? Might have been the shortest reign.
No, he never won it.
I thought he won it.
A triple threat.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he
that's
never
right.
won it.
Yeah.
He never won it. There was, I think if I recall correctly, Seth came sprinting down after Roman had tabled Brock Lesnar. Roman rolled back in and was out.
You're
Seth
right.
came rolling down. They made it a triple threat. Roman hit Seth with a spear, and you're like, oh, it's a failed cash in. But then Brock came in, F-I'd Roman. I think Seth stomped Brock, and that's where the pin came from.
All right. Keegan keeps throwing MJF in there, which I have, and Rob says absolutely no. There's no way MJF is going to be there. But James says Damian Priest leaves Philly as a champ. I kind of believe. Are there odds on that on a cash in?
Let me look. For the record, I do think he cashes in and leaves as a champ, just not with Cody's belt. I think he's taking it off of Drew. I think he's setting Drew up to go full lunatic, and I'm here for it, by the way.
See, tap outs and touchdowns says the same thing, and that's why I'm saying the swerve would be if he cashed in on Cody, because I just think, that's the story I would write, and people would hate me and tell me to sit down, and they would erase my part of the whiteboard. But I would do it.
How much?
I absolutely would do that.
Yeah, but I think you're looking at this through the lens of, and I do this too, just so we're clear, it's not an attack. I do the same thing. I think you're looking at it through the prism of what story would I enjoy? And while I do acknowledge that WWE has done a good job of throwing enough morsels in there for the adults, at the end of the day, it is still for the youths.
Rob, afterwards you see Cody breaking a throne. You see a bunch of things like that, and then they just show Triple H smiling as they go off the air. Yeah,
but so here's the thing, and I don't think you take this into consideration. That is an auto face turn for Paul Levesque at the moment that he is as hot as he has been since he was the game.
Yeah, no one would ever do that, Dwayne.
Right. But again, right now, with everything that's happened away from wrestling, you need the guy that replaced Vince to be loved right now. You have to have him be loved.
Here's
as
the
a
thing.
Character and in real
You
life.
are entirely being way too logical on this. I'm just saying what I think would get the biggest reaction throughout wrestling is if that happened.
Yes, but the reaction has to make you want to come back for more. And I don't think that would for a lot of people. We saw the internet flooded with videos of crying children, which, don't get me wrong, I thought was awesome. All right? But we saw the internet flooded with videos of crying children while The Rock was kicking the dog out of Cody Rhodes next to the bus. You can do a little of that. But if you have this guy go for 3 years in one story and it doesn't, or if it worse, it pays off and they immediately rip it away from him, does that make people come back? And I don't think it does.
So you're acknowledging the American Nightmare.
Acknowledging him? I think he's going to win this weekend.
Okay. All right. How long does it last?
A while. It's a 3-year story. It can't be a 1-week payoff. You got to let the dude travel with the belt a little bit.
He just, I can't find it right now, but he just had it copywritten, the Renaissance era, I think.
I mean, if he's putting copyrights on era names already, he's definitely winning. Here's my question. Cody Rhodes, 6-1 favorite to win this thing, which means if you're going to bet on it, you've got to wager $600 to win $100. I'm paycheck confident in that. He is going to beat Roman Reigns. And I am paycheck confident that Damian Priest is going to cash in, but he's going to cash in on Drew because, as TNT pointed a minute ago out on the stream, Drew has cost Damian multiple times his cash-ins. What's the ultimate get back at him? Take that belt off before you even get to wrap it around the waist.
By the way, I will say that that's probably what's going to happen. But I think the other thing would be kind of wild because no one would see it coming, except for obviously me because I mentioned it. But it's good that you're acknowledging Ray. We see you. Whatever.
WrestleMania coming up this weekend, night 1.
Oh,
Saturday
you
night,
whiners. Oh, they can't push this champion on me. I'll decide if I like someone or not. And then, as predicted, Roman Reigns becomes what he was, said he was.
That is not what was happening.
But spin.
It's not spin,
It is
Lonzo.
spin. It is spin. I've had this fight with Zach Adams and some other people who absolutely hated Roman Reigns. And now suddenly, because he turned heel, they like him.
Yes.
Okay,
that's not spin.
Yes, it's evil. We like evil more than good.
No, it's not that. No. Let me tell you what happened. Because you're doing this thing where you're telling other people what they actually thought.
No.
Let me tell you what
I learned that from the best.
What actually happened was that they spent years pushing Roman Reigns as John Cena Volume 2.0, and he was not that guy.
Well, all I remember, and this is not an exact quote, but that guy whose name we don't mention anymore said, "This is the future of the business," and he was right. And he pushed him, and he was right, and he won overall. And I get you get angry.
Was face Roman good?
I get.
Was face Roman good?
He has never been bad.
Was face Roman good?
He has never been bad.
I didn't say was he
He's
bad.
never
I said
been.
Was he?
He was absolutely.
Was he?
He has
of
not.
The company good.
He has not changed what he does. They just changed his moniker. His wrestling hasn't gotten any better.
No, first off, you are totally wrong about that.
No, I'm not. The only thing that
only
thing he does different is it takes him 5 minutes to get to the ring. That's the only thing he does different.
Where do you get this?
I get where you don't want to admit it. Just like Zach and other people don't want to admit it. They set out to make this guy what he is now, and we won't stand for it. And now, once it's been done to you, it's all psychology. It's been done to you, but you won't admit that you got. And you got and a bunch of people like you who I won't stand for Roman Reigns isn't my guy. He's not my and now he is, and you're acknowledging. You're throwing up your ones just like Vince predicted you would do.
Okay. So once again, let's say the real thing and not the imaginary.
Okay. You can downplay what I said,
not
but
downplaying. What
I believe in with all my being that what I just said is absolutely correct.
And I'm telling you, it's not. You are sitting. You're like all these other people, everybody else has this thing that they say. But no, I'm right about how they felt.
All the contrarians like yourself who said, you can't tell me. That's not, no. He's not going to be my champ, and he's been your champ for like 1,000 days or something.
All right. Then let me say it. Let me say what actually happened. Face Roman
Apparently I lied.
No, you misconstrued. What we said was face Roman is bland and boring. How many times did I say to you, I'm going to finish?
Who's we?
Zach and Keegan and everybody else.
Okay. All right.
All
Matt,
these people that you're telling me, said this and
sorry
this.
I threw you in there, Keegan.
Here's what, actually, I don't know if Keegan felt that way. It's just the first person I looked over and saw. Here's the point. Face Roman was boring and bland. This is from a Roman Reigns guy. I wanted him to be good. How many times did I say to you on this show, what do we need? We need ass-kicking demolisher Roman. That's what we need. I don't need babyface suffering succotash Roman. I need show up, wreck everyone, leave Roman. And finally, they did that. Finally, they turned him. And when they turned him from face to heel, now he becomes a truly compelling character. Now he's a champion. It was not that they were trying to get Roman over and we didn't like it. It was how they were trying to get Roman over that we didn't like it. It's like a James Bond movie. It's the same character, not the same actor, same character. But sometimes they are portraying this character a certain way that you go, I don't like that. I love James Bond, but I don't like this particular iteration of James Bond. There's a lot of people who incorrectly dislike the Pierce Brosnan James Bond era, the GoldenEye era. They don't like it because they didn't like that portrayal.
Do you realize the air of superiority you're putting out that didn't like incorrectly, as if you are an arbiter? I thought the arbiter was gone over, what people should like and what they shouldn't like.
If you don't like GoldenEye, I don't know how to talk to you. All right. This is a great movie.
I don't think I've seen a bad James Bond movie. I mean, even the ones that some people don't like, I like them. I think they're all put together really good, and some in different ways. I love the Roger Moore stuff. I know it was more tongue-in-cheek type stuff, but it was fitting in the era that it was in.
There have been bad Bond movies. Does that make James Bond a bad character? No, not at all. Does it make James Bond as a franchise a bad franchise? No, not at all. What it means is that there are certain ways to portray certain characters that take a lot away from the character, that make the character worse. Good guy Roman was not the best iteration of Roman. Bad guy Roman is. And when you flipped him over, now all of a sudden I got behind the guy. No, I don't disagree with Joey B.
Yeah. Oh, no, because you can't. Because you can't.
I've never.
If I said it that way, though, you'd be coming at me.
No, I would not, because I completely agree with that. This is why the title change needs to happen, because it got to the point, and this happens to everybody, where it's just like any TV show. Eventually you write yourself into a corner and you can't get out of it, and they want more. It's How I Met Your Mother's problem. For like 4 seasons, that was a phenomenal television show, and then they ordered 3 more seasons, but the problem was they had reached the end of the story, but now they got to get 30 more episodes out, so they started coming up with all these convoluted storylines that kind of watered down the characters, and the show lost the mojo.
And much like Ray, she died.
That was a stupid ending. It was How I Met Your Mother is very lucky that Game of Thrones came along, because for years, How I Met Your Mother earned the title of worst ending to a great TV show until Game of Thrones ripped it off like the golden crown. It was pretty bad. But the point here is sometimes you paint yourself into a corner. And the problem is, if you start having Roman go over in clean matches, then he looks like a legitimate champion. And if he looks like a legitimate champion, what's the argument at that point? This is how writing works. All right, we got to take a break.
Yeah, because I lost it somewhere in your anger. I was just thinking, like, the listeners, is he really mad right now? Look, he's spitting and his cheeks are red.
I do not like having my opinions misconstrued.
And I don't like having mine misconstrued.
I didn't misconstrue yours.
I didn't tell you what your opinion was. You did. You did.
What I told you
was
that you were misrepresenting what I'm standing up for Zach here, is what I'm doing. Zach deserves better.
For the first time ever.
Game of Thrones' entire final season was trash, said James. Their final 2 seasons were trash. Season 6 was okay. You're like, all right, maybe we can salvage something. 7 and 8 kicked you in the nads. It was awful. We got to take a break. When we come back, basketball. I promised basketball. I'm going to get to basketball. Let's break down. We already did the women's side. Let's break down the men's side. Can NC State and my big special boy, DJ Baby Burns, keep it going against Zach Edey and Purdue? I'll talk about that game. Then we'll get over into UConn and Alabama, coming up in the final segment of hour number 3 of the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Yay.
All right, guys, stepping away for just a minute. Y'all stay right there. We'll be right back.
So in the restroom, saw 9 from the Rise guys. He asked me if I was excited.
him.
And I said, yeah. And I explained to him the argument that we were having on the air. And he agrees with me.
About what?
That Vince won, that Vince said this is what was going to be, and that he won.
No, he didn't. Vince was demanding Roman be taken as a face. Roman did not get over as a face.
I don't
Never got
believe
over
he
as a
ever
face.
said face. He said champion. He said champion. And 9 said it was mentioned in the biography, which I watched in I'm guessing you didn't watch the biography yet. The Roman Reigns biography, where they show Pensacola. And you're such a Pensacola fan. They'd start off showing Pensacola.
I acknowledge the tribal chief.
You didn't watch it, though.
The tribal chief.
Right. Okay, fine. You didn't
Face
like.
face
You didn't. He didn't claim him till he turned
He was a
heel.
boring ass face. What do you want? He was boring and not good.
So, kids, if you're a good guy, you're boring.
No, if you're boring, you're boring.
Yeah, I don't think the Shield was boring.
We're not talking about the Shield. We're talking about Roman Reigns.
Exactly, and he was in the Shield.
But we're not talking about the Shield. We're talking about Roman Reigns as a
I'm
solo
gonna
face.
stop. You can't even say talking. I think you might actually be upset. No one named their kid that, did they? You guys are way into a show if you name a kid after, I would never enjoy a movie so much that I name my son after a character in the movie. I would never do something like that.
Can't believe you named your kid after Cameron Fry from Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Absolutely, that's who I named him after, because that was me in high school. I don't know that I doomed him to that by naming him that. That's why I named him that. He knows. I told him. It's a great character, man, and everyone went to see that movie a couple times. I'm generalizing like some people in this room do.
Not me.
When Roman turns face, will Rob still be a fan?
NC State versus the Purdue Boilermakers. NC State comes into this game as a 9.5-point underdog, and I like the cover. I like Purdue to win. I like the cover. Here's why. NC State can do something that no one else that has played Purdue in this tournament has been able to do. They have somebody that can push Zach Edey around. Zach Edey, for being 7'4", is not one of these dudes that's 7'4", but doesn't carry any body weight. Zach Edey is a sturdy fella, but he ain't as sturdy as my big dog DJ Baby Burns. That dude is a hoss. DJ Burns has no waistline. That's how big he is. I like that guy. And he plays bully ball underneath. He does not play orthodox basketball. It's one of the benefits you get when you have a guy that isn't a traditional post. The benefit you get when you have a guy who isn't a traditional post, it allows you a situation where when you run the offense through him, it is not give it to him on the block and then you can give it to him anywhere down there. And he's creative with the basketball. Now, the problem is he's not as big of a scoring threat when he's got a 7'4" monster who is absolutely a rim protector in Zach Edey playing around him. Which is why, if you're playing a daily fantasy, the square you want to click is DJ Burns over 3.5 assists. Because he's going to get that. He might get that in the first half. What I love about this game is that Zach Edey has basically been able to bully ball everybody that he's been up against. I don't think he can bully ball DJ Burns. I don't think he can back down DJ Burns like he's done everybody else. I don't think that he can just put a hip on DJ Burns and box him out like he does everybody else. He is going to have to get into a fight with DJ Burns. And I like that. I think the other thing that's really interesting, and as I said last night on BetMGM tonight, this is a take that I think comes with a tinfoil cap included, but I'm rolling with it. We have talked about the fact that Caitlin Clark is the face of college basketball this year. And I will point out that through this entire season, I've had a lot of y'all call and text and tweet to talk ball with me, and no one has fought back against that. Not one person has made the argument that anybody but Caitlin Clark is the face of college, not women's, just college basketball in general. But if you were going to argue that there's a face of college basketball, that's not Caitlin Clark. One of the only people I would hear as an argument is Purdue's Zach Edey. And I think that because of that fact and because of the way that he plays the game, I think Zach Edey has gotten the Duke treatment this year. I think Zach Edey has gotten calls. I think Zach Edey gets the whistles. I think he gets the assistants underneath. Basically, the dude's 7'4", arguably the best overall player in basketball. And so I think there are a lot of referees that kind of look and go, if that guy doesn't score, he obviously got fouled. If that guy didn't score, somebody hacked him. I don't think he's getting those calls against DJ Burns, because DJ Burns over the past 2 weeks has become America's sweetheart on the basketball floor. I don't know if you saw the footage. There was footage from him at the end of the NC State upset over Duke in the Elite Eight. There was footage of him on the block as Duke was about, or as NC State was about to shoot their free throws while Duke was fouling down the stretch. There's footage of him down on the block, and my man's just dancing, right? Just dancing, just having the time. He's got the vibe. Vibe check, passed. And some Duke fans start giving him hell. And he looks at him, never stops dancing, and he goes, "Why you mad? Your season's over." While he's dancing, it's incredible. It's incredible. And if it was anybody but Duke, I think a lot of people would go, dude, do you really need to talk smack? Like, they know their season's over. They're sad. They're emotional. Do you need to rub it in? But it's Duke, so who gives a crap? Who cares? This dude has become the baby face of the tournament. And unlike Roman Reigns, he's a very compelling baby face. Okay? Very compelling baby face. He's fun to root for. So I don't think Zach Edey's going to get the calls underneath the basket that he's used to getting. Now, Zach Edey has an opportunity tomorrow when this happens. And the opportunity that he has is the opportunity to prove to NBA scouts, that while he is a traditional five, the NBA is a positionless game right now. Guards play forward, forwards play big, bigs play forward. It's a positionless game at this point. There are very few true fives anymore. Just is a post five. Joel Embiid is not one. Nikola Jokic is not one. Rudy Gobert is not one. There's no more traditional post fives anymore. Zach Edey's a traditional post five. He does not play the mid-range. He's not putting up threes. And certainly not doing it at the next level. So what he has to prove in this game, in case it turns out to be his last one, is that while he does play a traditional post five, a position that doesn't really exist in the National Basketball Association anymore, when it's time to rock up, he can get the job done. Even if he's not getting the calls, he can still go get his 28. He can still go get his 14 boards. He can still go get his 7 assists. So it is going to be a challenge. Joey B popped into the stream chat and said, I think it goes the other way. DJB finally runs into a dude he can't push around and is long enough to overcome his good footwork to block his shot. The rest of NC State can't score enough. Purdue by 15 plus. I actually disagree. I like the cover. I like the thought, but I think it goes both ways. I for the record, I do think that DJ Burns is strong enough and more important. He's 30. He's a sturdy boy. He's like me and Zoe.
He's a big-ass boy is what he is. God dang.
He's a sturdy fella. I don't think, listen, Zach Edey is a big fella too, but I don't think he is the strongest guy in the tournament. I think he's big. I'll tell you what DJ Burns has in this case. I actually think he's got leverage on Zach Edey. I think he's got a low enough center of gravity that is wide enough that if Zach Edey leans on him and DJ Burns gets that back foot anchored, I don't think Zach Edey can push DJ Burns around. So the question mark then becomes, offensively, what can NC State do in a game where, and this part I do agree with Joey B, Zach Edey's post defense is good enough that DJ Burns, I don't think, is going to be able to do what he's done to so many other big men, including Kyle Filipowski from Duke, and put him in the spin cycle with those post moves that he is brought to light in this tournament. I don't think he's doing that to Zach Edey. That's why I like him for the 3.5 assists. Because what I do think you have to do is you have to clamp Zach Edey onto DJ Burns. You have to lock Zach Edey onto DJ Burns. And if you lock Zach Edey onto DJ Burns, what does that do? Now DJ Horn on the outside can move around. Now that mid-range becomes open. It's very similar to what we talked about with South Carolina's women, with Camila Cardoso and Chloe Kitts up against NC State on the women's side. Zach Edey has to make sure that DJ Burns does not get comfortable hitting him with the spin cycle, hitting him with the step back, hitting him with those post moves that DJ Burns has gotten so damn good at in this tournament. He can't fall for that, because if he falls for that, DJ's going to score. And if they can get, I don't think they can, but if they can get DJ Burns going, Purdue's in trouble. If they can't get Burns going, then NC State has to win with the mid-range and the three-point shot. They've got the shooters to do that. Purdue's got a good defense. But when NC State's offense is cooking, ask Duke, they're gonna basket for basket you to death. And I think that's what they try to do here. The mid-range jumper from DJ Horn's got to be working. The three-point shot from DJ Horn's got to be working. Everybody else, I just need a good night from. Just above average night, and they're going to be fine. I like NC State plus 9.5. I just think that when it comes down to it, Purdue's a better basketball team. So unless Purdue just melts down, unless they just melt down and have their off night of this tournament, everybody in the tournament has an off night. The question is, can you win in spite of it? If they can play through it and still be in the mix, I think as long as Purdue has a lead with about 8 minutes left to play in the game, I think they win the game. Because I do not think that NC State is going to know how to handle that situation. I don't think that they are going to know what to do if Zach Edey's trading buckets with them back on the other end. For Purdue's offense, that is the game. Get it into Zach Edey and let him go to work offensively. But you got to get it to him on the block. You got to get it to him down on the rectangle. Because if Zach Edey is getting the ball out at the mid-range, I don't think he can put the ball on the floor. DJ Burns is lower than him. He can swipe that thing out of there. And like I said, I don't think Edey's getting the calls that he's gotten in the Big Ten regular season and through the Big Ten tournament in the early portions of this tournament. I don't think he's getting those calls. So DJ Burns can get down to the floor easier than Zach Edey can, and I think he will. So I don't think you can set Zach Edey up where he needs to be a ball dribbler. I need him catching ceiling-high passes on the block. I think you move him back and forth underneath the basket as often as possible. I'm going to rotate the ball from 1 to 2 to 1 to 3 to 1 to 2 to 1 to 3 around the top of the perimeter. I'm going to have Zach Edey back and forth, block to block to block to block to block to block to block until eventually he gets a step on DJ Burns. He gets in front of DJ Burns, and then I'm getting him the ball on the block. And once he gets the ball on the block, now I trust him to go to work. Then it's just spin and kiss it off the glass, man. Because DJ Burns, as much as he is, of course, as Gardner Minshew would say,
He's a big-ass boy is what he is. God dang.
he doesn't exactly have the hops. He's not going up to contest a high-point jump shot from Zach Edey. Get my guy the ball on the block, set him up to where he just needs to turn, hit the corner of the square up on the glass, and let's just be better than them. I think that's the game plan, and I think it works. Give me NC State to cover, but give me Purdue to win and move on to your national championship game. Now, there is one more thing that's got to be paid attention to here. Purdue has got, fairly or unfairly, they have got a reputation of being choke artists in the tournament. They've got a reputation of being choke artists in the tournament. They were a 1 seed who lost to a 16 seed last year. If there is a choke coming, it's tonight. It's tonight. I don't think they'll choke against UConn. I think they're just going to play a real good team. If there's a choke coming for Purdue, it's tonight. If this game starts and Zach Edey misses 3-4 early buckets, if Zach Edey's struggling out of the gate, I might live hammer NC State for the money line upset. Right now they are 3 plus 330 on the line. I think plus 330 on the line right now. If he comes out and he misses a couple of early jumpers, I may throw a little extra change at NC State money line at that plus 330 and let it ride. Because if there's a choke coming, this is it. Let's run to a break. We'll come back here in just a minute. We'll talk about the other game on the docket tomorrow. Alabama taking on the UConn Huskies. I'm going to tell you right now, I got more belief that NC State can knock off Purdue than I do Alabama can beat UConn. And you guys know I have been riding with the Crimson Tide all year long. So how do they beat the Huskies? I've got the plan for Nate Oates. Just got to see if the boys can execute. I'll tell you what it is when we come back on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Is it still warm in here? Or is it just because I'm wearing a good hoodie?
It's still warm in here. It's not as warm as it was earlier. It hasn't really kicked in like it normally does.
Yeah.
From the News Talk WORD Traffic Center, I'm Bill Brooks on the Fan Upstate.
DQ presents.
He's Bill Brooks. Everybody else wants to be Bill Brooks. That's how that works. Even Rob Brown, accomplished radio professional and award winner, wants to be Bill Brooks because everyone wants to be Bill Brooks.
I absolutely do. That voice? Are you kidding me? I'd be unstoppable.
You ever think what your voice is going to sound like when you're like 60?
There are days I already feel like my voice is like weakening, you know? I feel like I'm going to have the stereotypical old man voice. I'm going to sound like Bill Clinton.
I have heard Anniversary for the Pulse was a few weeks ago and played a clip from the very first one, which was 9 years ago.
Yeah.
My voice sounds the same, I think. I wonder what makes your voice sound old. Is it pain? I mean, do your vocal cords age to a degree where they deteriorate and they're like, okay, you've talked enough?
From what I understand, and I could be wrong about this, from what I understand, it's your larynx, which is a muscle. And just like any muscle, as you age, the more you use it, the more it gets damaged.
So let's say you don't talk a whole lot until you get older. Do you have room? I mean, well, I'm just curious.
I'm 110 years old.
Well, hopefully we'll be able to find out what a 60-year-old Alonzo sounds like in, 5 years. All right, 4.5 years.
So, the UConn Huskies have hit juggernaut status. They are playing their best ball. They're blowing everybody out. Against Illinois in the Elite Eight, they went on a 30-0 run. 30 unanswered points in a basketball game. You should be able to shoot from half court and knock one down before they hit 30 in a row. But they didn't. They didn't. This team is on a different level right now. So what can the Alabama Crimson Tide do in order to win this game? There's a couple of different things. First off, have to be perfect offensively. For much of the season, Alabama had the nation's #1 ranked offense according to the KenPom standings. And they had one of the top 5 offenses ever, dating back to the origins of the KenPom rating system back in 1997. They had 2 problems. Number 1, their defense was miserable during that stretch. And number 2, eventually they went ice cold from 3. That is when that loss from Florida happened, when everybody started saying, maybe the Tide ain't who we thought they was. Maybe they ain't as good as we thought they were. I mean, they just got beat by Florida. Well, there's a couple of things that went on. Florida would, of course, go on to have a very good run through the SEC tournament, a very good run to the end of the year, and would eventually make the tournament despite missing their big man with his exploded leg. That was more, to me, on Alabama than it was on anybody else. Now, Alabama's been away for the house for a month. They have gotten used to being on the road. They have gotten used to shooting on hoops that aren't theirs. I also think that when Alabama was on that run of incredible offensive success, I think that they decided under Nate Oates at that point, and a decision that I did not love. I think they decided, you know what? We'll just get into track meets with everybody. If every score ends up 102-100, but we always have the 102, who cares? Who cares? Well, that's what we are. We're just a team that only plays offense. I think once they started going cold from three, they kind of shifted back towards being a little bit more balanced of a basketball team. Since the tournament started, Bama has made at least 11 three-pointers in 3 out of the 4 games. They're shooting 41.5% from deep. 41.5% from deep. Let me say it one more time in case you didn't hear me way back there in the back. They are shooting 41.5% from 3. Against Clemson, they made 16 3-pointers. I'm real not good at math, but 3 times 6 is 18. You carry the 1 over. 3 times 1 is 3. You add the 1, that's 4. Oh, okay. That's 48 points from behind the arc. There's another thing at this point that they do, aside from hitting the 3, which, by the way, is what Alabama has to do in this game. They are going to have to knock down threes. In fact, I would go on the record and say, I think Alabama's got to make 11 threes in this game to win. They're going to need 33 points to come off of threes. They will need, I honestly think, more than half of their points to come from threes. Question mark is this. What's the lineup look like? What's the lineup look like? We know Latrell Wrightsell will be back for this game. So how do you go with the lineup? Do you go with the small lineup with Wrightsell and Nelson at the 5? Do you go with Nelson and Pringle both in there, Twin Towers in the middle, and go with your 2 7-footers in the middle and then try to draw UConn's defense down? I honestly don't know. Here's what I do.
Hard to go against a Wrightsell. I'm just saying.
He spells it different. He spells it weird.
I know.
Okay.
I know. But, you know.
I'll tell you what I think you end up doing. I think you're going small ball. I think you're running the smallest but fastest lineup that you have. UConn in this tournament so far, I do not think has seen a team that would have the speed and shot-making ability of the Alabama small lineup. Stetson was no competition. Northwestern was no competition. San Diego State is a defensive-oriented team that plays big ball in the middle. Illinois was a team that was a very balanced basketball team, didn't really excel in the middle or on the outside. They just balanced it out. UConn beat them by 25. UConn has not seen a team for all of the hype. And this is what I said when, thanks Keegan, Auburn lost to Yale in the first round. That's awesome. When Auburn lost to Yale, I said on this show on the next day, I'd like to congratulate the UConn Huskies for making it to the Final Four because there is nobody on that side of the bracket that could beat them. Auburn was our one hope. Help me, Bruce Pearl Kenobi. You're our only hope. And he didn't do that. And that's why. Stetson was no competition. Northwestern was no competition. San Diego State is not who they were last year, and they're a defensive-oriented team. Illinois didn't have the horses on offense. Alabama does. So I'm going with a small lineup, and every play I run ends up with Mark Sears hanging on to the basketball. He has posted at least 20 points in 20 of his last 23 games. Now, he is going to be challenged. He's up against Stephon Castle. Stephon Castle was the man who removed Boo Buie from this tournament. He is the guy who removed Terrence Shannon Jr. from this tournament. The best 2 players that they have squared off against so far. They have got to get Mark Sears working, which means you have got to make sure that the first play, every time you come down the floor, the first play always needs to end up with Mark Sears hands on the basketball. Doesn't mean he has to shoot every time. I want him taking high percentage shots, or at least as high percentage as a 3-pointer can be. And with a team shooting 41% from 3 in this tournament, That's pretty high percentage. Every play down is a fast break. It's a transition. I want you guys getting from line to line in breakneck speed, and then I want you to run a set that ends up with Mark Sears coming off a pick somewhere and having the basketball in his hands with the opportunity to shoot. I think Sears probably needs to knock down, 6 threes in this game. I think Alabama needs to knock down 11 threes in this game. And if they hit those marks, they can beat UConn because UConn has not faced in this tournament. I understand they're putting up 30-0 runs. I understand they're getting by everybody. And that's all well and good. The list of competition has not been all that great with the exception of Illinois, which is a good but not great basketball team. With the exception of Illinois, and they certainly have not played a team that's got the power of Alabama. Now, I will tell you, I said all this last night on BetMGM Tonight, and Trista Crick is 100% in the opposite direction. She's all UConn. I'm not. I think people have been underestimating Alabama all year, and I think people saw that Florida game struggle. I think people saw the SEC tournament struggle, and I think they thought, oh, that's who Alabama is. It's not. Alabama's the team that they are now. A team shooting 41% from three, a team that is lifting up a ton of shots, and I do not think UConn has seen anything like them yet. Give me Alabama to cover. I think UConn wins the game. I still do think they are a little bit better, but I think Alabama's going to make it way more interesting than people think it will. 11.5 is a lot of points to give Alabama. Texas said, Rob, come on now. How you going to bet against North Carolina State? Burns is a man of the people. I'm pretty sure I've hung out with him at a couple of barbecues and didn't know it. You hung out with DJ Big Baby Burns and you didn't know it was DJ Big Baby. I don't think you could be in the same county as DJ Big Baby Burns and not recognize who you were next to.
Are you discounting that he might possibly have been at the barbecue, though? Talking about Burns?
Do you see that man? That man's at every barbecue.
I'm looking at him right now. He looks like a barbecue guy.
He's a barbecue guy.
We should know.
Big, sturdy boys.
He's a big-ass boy is what he is. God dang.
Love that guy. For the record, I do my best in situations like this not to have a rooting interest in who's playing so that I can provide the traditional unbalanced or unbiased, completely balanced coverage that we provide here on the Fan Upstate. I am all in on my big special boy, DJ Baby Burns.
All right. According to the internet, he's only 275 pounds. I'm not buying that.
No, I don't buy that either. My man's tipping 290 minimum. Tipping 290 minimum. Let's take a break. Come back here in just a minute. We got 1 hour left to go. We'll talk a little more basketball. We'll get some NBA. I have got to absolutely run John Fisher, the owner of the A's, because he decided to do something dumb. We got to talk about Juice Wells, who did an interview at his new school, Ole Miss. He had something very interesting to say that I'd like to play for you as well. All that's coming up, but not until Lonzo tantalizes and titillates with this sports flash. Titillate us.
Terrifically. Yeah, there we go. The next chapter of Gamecock basketball history could be written tonight when Don Staley and the number 1 ranked Gamecocks, I don't know if Rob knew that or not, square off with the number 3 seed NC State Wolfpack. The Gamecocks enter as 11.5-point favorites. The winner of this matchup will square off with the winner of the showdown between Iowa and UConn. Litigation filed against the ACC by Florida State University took a big blow yesterday as the Mecklenburg, North Carolina judge denied 2 motions from FSU to dismiss a countersuit filed by the ACC against them. The ruling is a significant win for the conference as it means the legal battle between the school and conference will likely proceed in North Carolina instead of Florida. Tune in tomorrow starting at 4 p.m. for the NCAA men's basketball final. NC State takes on Purdue and Alabama clashes with UConn. That's the Final Four right here on The Fan. I'm Bill Brooks, checking out the jam cams. I'm trying to envision what the Bill Brooks jam cam looks like. I don't know if you heard it, but he said it several times today. Bill Brooks is checking out the jam cam.
The jam cam?
The jam cam.
Oh.
You know, like, as in traffic jam?
Yeah.
Jam
Got it
cam?
now.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have
It's,
music on the brain.
yeah. It's just, well, and you should, because I'm trying to figure out what song should play behind the jam cam.
Have you heard of the fish doorbell?
I have
You seen
not.
the fish doorbell?
Is it like the fillet of fish
No.
or something?
There is a dam in Amsterdam
Mm-hmm.
that is built over a river where whatever the fish are in that river migrate, but they have to leave the dam closed for whatever reason. Well, in order to allow the fish to navigate, they have an internet site with a webcam under the water at the dam. And you can go to the website and watch. And whenever a fish swims up to it, because they just swim there and then they just stay there waiting for the dam to open, whenever a fish comes up, there's a button on the page and you push it and the dam opens for the fish and closes back. So they literally have asked the internet to, hey, just babysit the fish for us. And whenever a fish swims up to the dam, you can physically open the gate. And on there, it's like, listen, anytime you open the bell, anytime you hit the bell, the gate's going to open. Please don't push the button unless there's a fish, because we don't want the dam going back and forth all day long. It's the most incredible waste of time I've ever seen.
It's a work because there's no way that thing would be going like that the entire time if the internet actually had control
I think
over
if
it.
it wasn't for animals, I would agree with you.
Telling people on the internet, don't do this too much. Yeah, that works.
Again,
I
I
mean,
think if it wasn't for animals, they would do it all the time.
not everyone cares as much as you do about fish. So don't you just now want to jump on that thing and push it multiple times just to see if it opens up multiple times?
No, I don't.
Because that would prove that it's,
Because if you
it's
break
not
it, then what
real.
are the fish going to do?
Become fillet of?
The final hour of the Rob Brown radio program goes now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Fan Upstate. I am Rob Brown, the great Alonzo on the other side of the metaphorical glass. See, I'm not the only one who knows about the fish dam.
Yeah, I don't. Who's the fish guy from The Boys?
The Deep.
Yeah, you kind of, your admiration for the fish is akin to the deep.
For those of you, which I'm assuming is all of you.
I mean, not all the way the deep, because that's kind of weird. If you
Rolling in the deep. Love some Adele.
I was thinking about him driving a dolphin, and yeah.
There is a website called The Fish Doorbell. There is in Amsterdam a dam, a floodgate, a dam. And it is built on a river where there's this certain kind of fish that migrate up the river. But because they built this dam, what was happening was for a couple of years, they only opened it every now and then. They would wait, handful of days or whatever. And once they opened it, there'd just be a big old swarm of fish that had all congregated waiting to migrate up the river. And the natural predators in the area figured out that whenever they heard the dam start to open, it was buffet time. Ding, 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 dinner bells ringing. And so to combat that and give these fish the best chance to migrate, this dam, the people running it, created a website called The Fish Doorbell. And basically what it is if you go to the website, there is a live webcam underwater at this dam, and you watch this webcam. And whenever a fish swims up to get through the dam, there is literally a button on the website that you push. And when you push it, and I'm assuming enough people push it, the dam registers there's a fish waiting to get through. The dam opens up. Those fish get through. The dam closes back, and you can sit there and help these fish ring the doorbell to go through the dam. And I was talking about it during the break on the live stream at facebook.com/thefanupstate, twitter.com/thefanupstate, by searching The Fan Upstate and The Rob Brown Show on YouTube or The Rob Brown Show on Twitch. I was talking about it during the break because it has, for whatever reason, it has become my zen over the past couple of weeks.
All right, so I'm having a little trouble believing it because I can't get to it. I keep trying.
It's because it's VPN'd out because it's in a different country. You got to go on your personal website.
Okay, because it
Or
keeps saying this page does not exist.
Yeah, it's VPN'd out from behind the company firewall.
It's convenient, isn't it? I'm just saying.
Dude,
it's a work.
Listen, when I sit at the house and I'm doing work at the house, I've got 3 computer monitors at the house. I got 2 laptops plus a third screen that I HDMI into. And when I'm doing work at the house, I have on the top laptop screen my recording software that I cut stuff on. I have on the bottom screen the prep for whatever segment or commercial or promo or ad or whatever I'm recording. And then now over on the third screen, what I used to do is I would have YouTube up. I'd go to YouTube and I'd watch my war documentaries, or I'd watch my science documentaries, or I'd watch my sports documentaries.
Your programs.
My programs. I'd sit there and I'd watch my history programs. Now, that third laptop or that third screen is now dedicated to the fish doorbell. I don't know why, but it is my zen to sit there.
I'm going to see if I can get to it on my phone.
I sit there and I have the webcam up and I work while I wait and I wait while I work. And I've only rung it 3 or 4 times, but anytime I see a fish come up, I'm hitting the button. I know I am a weirdo. I am not arguing that I am a weirdo, but I also know that I'm not alone, because when I talked about the fish doorbell and the fact that it has eaten up a large percentage of my downtime, Joey B hit me in the chat with, "It's the greatest thing ever."
The stream is currently full, so you are unable to take a picture just about. Yeah, there's 987 viewers. How's the screen full with only that many?
Well, I'm assuming they probably don't pay for an infinite server like Reddit does.
Listen, it's awesome that you found something that makes you feel like you're helping and everything. I don't believe it's real. I don't.
You don't believe anything's real.
No, because
you do believe. You believe Sasquatch is real, but not a website that looks at fish. That's where we're at.
No. Looking at fish, I'm sure, is absolutely true. But the fact that they asked the internet, don't push the button too much, and the internet was like, "Oh, okay, cool, my bad. I'll lay off. I won't push the button too much." No, the internet, everyone would be pushing the button. The dam would always be open. That's why I think this is bogus.
Listen, just because you and your people can't not troll when you want to does not mean that the internet isn't full of good people. And by the way, it's not
First
just
of all,
everybody.
Troll is life, yo. But I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about everybody else out there who when they're told, "Hey, don't do this," they go, "What are they going to do?" And they push the button.
Well, it's not
all the hold my beer people.
It's not.
I'm making them fish come through. Daggone, look. There's like 30 went through right there. Enjoy your food, Burs.
It's not if a person pushes the doorbell. It's if a certain number of people on the website push the doorbell. It registers. Once there's a spike in doorbell pushing, then the dam opens. So if there's just one person pushes it, it's not going to
okay.
open.
All right. So I feel like you described it inaccurately, because you made it sound like one person could make the thing open.
No, it's there's 1,000 people watching it right now.
Almost.
There's 998 people watching it right now.
Again, I sound exactly like that.
Hey, Angel Hernandez is back in the news. It took, I'm shocked, it took a week before we got our first Angel Hernandez dumb decision. In a game yesterday.
Wait. That's the umpire.
That's the bad umpire.
Okay.
He's the bad man. He's back to hurt us again.
Yeah, I saw some guy in Michigan tweeting about that.
God, he's the worst.
Yeah. The guy in Michigan.
Angel Hernandez. Let me be clear. Yeah, I realized how that came across. That guy's new baseball team, because he's a big Detroit Tigers guy.
Always has been his entire life.
Lifelong. Big Detroit Tigers guy. The Tigers were playing the Mets yesterday in New York City. Angel Hernandez behind the dish. And because Angel Hernandez has to make everything about him, in a situation where the Tigers were up 3 in the top of the 11th, bases loaded with 2 outs. I mean, at this point, every run matters. You are up 3 in an extra inning situation. There was a batter at the dish. And there was an inside pitch. I want to say it was Spencer Torkelson. I'm pretty sure it was Spencer Torkelson. Torkelson's such a good last name.
What a name.
Spencer
now coming
Torkelson.
up to bat, Spencer Torkelson.
Yeah, I don't want to be it was Spencer Torkelson. I do not want to be the PA announcer at Tiger Stadium.
Oh, you'd have so much fun with that name. Come on.
Now with the dish for your Detroit Tigers. Number 20, Spencer Torkelson. I don't like it.
You got some you open up some passages there though. So you're good.
I do feel better. Maybe that's what I need to do. Spencer Torkelson took an inside pitch, brought the bat, I don't know, maybe in front of his right nip and no further, right? You know what I'm saying? Like right here.
Oh no, your description, I think, yeah, it was a pretty good one. Yeah.
Brought it around and pulled it in, held it right up against the right nip, and then Angel Hernandez rang him up on a swing. The most ridiculous call of the season so far. And this would not be a story if it was any other umpire. But because it is Angel Hernandez, it's the worst call of the season. This guy sucks.
Does Torkelson have pythons or something? So it looked like they were going or a little bit further than what?
Wait a minute. We may have to go to break now. Because I just found a video dating back to August 7th, 2001. In August 7th, 2001, a dramatically younger Angel Hernandez was calling a game at Wrigley Field. Brought out to sing, as they do during the 7th inning stretch in Chicago, Take Me Out to the Ball Game, was one Steve Mongo McMichael. And apparently, Steve Mongo McMichael decided in that moment that he was, while in the process of singing Take Me Out to the Ball Game in the 7th inning stretch, from the press box, decided to start ripping Angel Hernandez. And Angel Hernandez had him thrown out of the ballpark from the press box for talking about how crappy he was at his job 23 years ago, and the guy's still around. So I want you to know there's nothing more I want in my life right now than to go listen to this audio.
This was after Mongo was in the Four Horsemen. He was out of wrestling at this point. If not, he's going down there.
No, he's way, for sure. Like I almost just want to play it on the air without hearing it because it's a WGN broadcast clip. I got to assume it's fine, but I don't want to risk Lonzo Zion Williams singing, his finger spinning to the dump button and like stubbing
I can't afford an injury like that right now.
Yeah, neither can I. The hell, Zion. He is now day-to-day with a sore finger. I swear to you, dude, if we end up in the damn play-in because Zion has a sore finger, I am going to kick something.
Is this go further towards him? People saying he's a bust because he's not. I mean, when he plays, he's awesome.
My dude's averaging 27 a game when he's
Yeah,
healthy.
yeah, but then he hurt his finger.
This is his middle finger. I think it was his middle finger.
Sure, I thought it was his ring finger.
Maybe it was.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, middle finger pretty important, especially to some people, but the ring finger also important for ball control.
It is, especially when you are like Zion Williamson.
He's a big ass boy, is what he is. God dang.
I doubt he has beefy fingers. He could though. I mean,
Dude, he dropped 27 pounds after the playing tournament. He's back to Jack Zion.
cool.
Yeah,
Maybe that's why his finger got hurt.
that's why he's balling out right
Didn't
now.
have any insulation around it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have plenty more that we need to get to over the course of the radio broadcast. Said yesterday we were going to power rank our MLB teams. When we come back here in just a minute, we take a look at where we stand after the first week of the season. Now, I'm not going to power rank you 1 through 30.
Okay. All right. Because it's in the fairness and the interest of time. And yeah.
I'm not going to power rank 1 through 30. Instead, I have broken the teams up into multiple tiers. World Series favorites, World Series contenders, World Series pretenders, and frauds. As well as teams that just stink. LA Angels, Oakland Athletics. So when we come back, I'm going to power rank those for you in a tier format. And we're all going to make fun of sports worst owner John Fisher, who did another dumb thing yesterday.
Is there a graph involved in this one?
No graphs. You're fine.
Okay. All
You're
right.
fine. Take a deep breath. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Nobody asked you, Joey B. Nobody asked you at all.
I don't know why that cut bothers me. It hurts my ears.
You get rid of Good Morning, I'll get rid of that.
I'm not getting rid of anything.
Nope.
Other people are trying to get rid of stuff for me, but luckily I keep all my feathers numbered for just such an occasion.
Rolling in the deep. But you played me.
I think Adele was better when she was heavier. I mean, it just, weird things go through my head. What can I say? You should hear the things I don't say. Those are amazing. I should thank God every morning I actually do have a filter. I might get called to the office a lot more. I want to hear all the rap stuff from Wally Fest, but I can't play it now. Or Wally Mania. I mean,
put me in queue real quick.
But we got to be careful about that stuff.
Oh, I gotta unmute the site.
On goes home, Chicago! And don't worry, I'll have some speaks for that home plate umpire after the game. A 1, a 2, a 3. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out.
That's a good thing Steve was a wrestler.
Hard to sing to an organ. It really is.
3 strikes, no out.
I thought he nailed it at the end.
And don't worry, I'll have some speaks for that home plate umpire after the game.
I'll have some speaks.
I don't get it, Zach, but I'm a little, slow. Oh, he's laughing. He don't get it either. Good.
DM Hunk?
Yeah.
I'm assuming he's.
Oh, CM Punk.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Never mind.
We're gonna get Lonzo through it, you guys.
I've been, I've had to go extra hard today. So it's taken a lot out of me.
I'm sorry. I'm bringing
Go
you
team,
down.
dude. Go team. That's
Sorry,
what
I'm
I'm
bringing you down over here.
No. I'm bringing us up, and it's a team thing. It's what we do. As the song says, just call on your brother when you need a hand.
When you need a hand, because we all need somebody to lean on. And I just might have a problem that you understand.
I get it now, Zach. I'm
We
just
all
I
need
was in the wrong frame of
somebody
mind.
to lean on me. When you're not strong, I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on. I forgot I'm on a stream. I'm not gonna lie.
I think. We're sticking Belarus, man.
Belarus.
They're gone. They out. Belarus is out.
Belarus.
Although, I mean, is Belarus socialist? Because "Lean on Me" could be considered a socialist song.
Belarus is more fascist.
Are they? Okay, all right.
If I recall correctly, which I believe I do.
Drew has been excellent, Zach. I do agree. I want one of them T-shirts. But I got to say, watching the CM Punk interview, I swear I believe him. And I don't know if it's because he's that good of an actor, although he has been in movies and stuff. They haven't been very good. Or if I've hated on him so much that I want to believe him. I want to believe that Jack Perry is that guy. But I want to put my hand through the windshield. It'll give me clicks.
That's real glass.
Take that. Although apparently, I didn't watch it all. The Bucks reached out to the scapegoat. He said, one of them said, "Hey, scapegoat, we love your work."
Fantastic.
Yes. I don't know. You could say that about everyone in Star Wars, though, because they're always, "It's not my fault." Joe, I'm just saying. Han Solo said it. Lando said it. Sorry for crossing fandoms.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the Rob Brown Show back on your radio. I said we were going to power rank baseball teams today, but I'm not going to go 1 through 30. Could. Don't really want to.
I don't think we have enough time for that.
More importantly, Lonzo doesn't want to go through that.
I'm good. I'm good. If you're good, I'm good.
I'm great. I'm amazing, frankly.
There were a lot of concerns about 5:55 this morning, but
I was not great at 5:55 this morning.
you have soldiered through, and you're welcome.
Yes, all credit to the great
A
one.
little more hate towards me now, each time I do this sort of thing, but we're going on 4 years, man. That's not bad.
I have been here 4 years now. You and I will be together 4 years in
December. Yes, so around Christmas.
Yeah.
Because I was a wonderful Christmas gift.
Tier 1. Their time's not up. Their time is now. You can see them. Their time is now. There are a few teams, and by few, I mean 2. There are 2 teams that belong in this tier, and 2 teams only, in my opinion. Those 2 teams are both out of the National League, and in the least surprising 1-2 punch at the top of power rankings ever, the 2 teams in the window is not just open, but it is wide open. They are the Atlanta Braves, and they are the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Dodgers are very good. Now, the Dodgers the last couple of years have entered year after year as one of the best on paper. Yet every year in the playoffs, they have just kind of fallen apart for whatever reason. This year, they said, hey, what have we been missing in the playoffs? We've been missing pitching, so they went and got some, like guys like Tyler Glasnow. They said we've missed slugging in the playoffs, so they went and got Shohei Ohtani to play the DH role this year, who, of course, will also go back, hopefully, to being a Cy Young caliber pitcher next year for the Dodgers.
If he's not banned for life.
If he doesn't get banned for life. But have you noticed how completely radio silent that story's gone?
Yeah, much like the Michigan cheating scandal, it has disappeared.
Yup. So, the Dodgers are up there. The Dodgers basically addressed every issue they had. That's why they're here. The Braves are in this spot as well. Alex Anthopoulos has been incredible as the GM. We have talked about that. The Braves looked and said, what did we miss? They were missing one thing in the playoffs last year, and it is something that Philly took tremendous advantage of the last couple of years. It was the fact that there were no lefties in the bullpen. So when games got heated and you were going up against the heart of the Philly order, a heart that is made of left-handers, the Braves didn't really have anybody out of the pen that they could trust to create lefty-on-lefty situations. So they went and they fixed that. They went and got Raciel Iglesias. They went and brought back Uncle Jesse Chavez, who sucks everywhere else, but for some reason, when he puts on a Brave uniform, he becomes freaking Greg Maddux. It's unbelievable. They also have pumped up the rotation 1 through 5. They didn't know who the fifth starter was going to be, and it's not because nobody could. It was who was going to get beat by somebody else that was playing better baseball. Those are the top two. Tier 2. These are the teams that are behind Tier 1, but it also would not shock me if they were to win some hardware in the postseason. I'm going to start with the Houston Astros. I think the Houston Astros window is closing. I think the Houston Astros window is being aged out of right now. They've got a lot of guys that have been around for a very long time. Some of them still very good. Altuve is still there doing his thing right now. They went and got the best closer in baseball that was available this offseason in Josh Hader. I mean, they picked up some names. But you lost a lot of different guys. You've got guys like Abreu, Altuve, Alex Bregman, who is still very good, but he has slowed down, or at least he has through the early portion of this year. I think the Astros are good. They are nowhere near the Braves and the Dodgers. Another team that is on the exact opposite side of the spectrum from the Houston Astros, the Baltimore Orioles. This team is young. This team is trending up. In the past 2 years, the O's have finished ahead of prognostications, including last year when they won the division. They had a good run at it in 2022, seemed early. 2023, it felt like they should have had the year they had in 2022, except for they won the AL Beast last year. And as of right now, they are all square with the New York Yankees as the favorites in that division. This is a Yankees team that added Juan Soto, the guy I've got a flyer out on to win your 2024 American League Most Valuable Player Award. But with guys like Adley Rutschman, the addition of guys like Corbin Burns, Grayson Rodriguez, this Orioles team is very young, but they've got a very good chance to get there. Speaking of the Yankees, they're in this group. The Yankees' run of winning seasons was under threat last year. They were on 30, looking for 31. They almost didn't get there, but they don't care about that. They have now gone 14 seasons without reaching the World Series, 14 seasons without a pennant. That's bad to Yankees fans. So what they do? As I mentioned, they went and they got a Juan Soto. They added some guys to the rotation, to the pen. They went and tried to fix the problems from last year. As far as I am concerned, there is only one thing that keeps the New York Yankees away from being the AL East champions this year. It is not what the Orioles do, because the Orioles are also very good. I think the Yankees have one advantage, and that a lot of these guys are guys that are longtime vets that know how to win. What keeps the Yankees away is health. Garrett Cole, going to miss the first couple months of the season. Aaron Judge said about a week before the season started that his foot, it's just permanently injured now. There's no way to fix it. There's no way around it. It's just always going to be injured. Now, I think that as a recognition is a good thing. Because if you know that foot just is injured now, there's just no way to not be or to for it to get healthy. It's just permanently hurt now. What does that allow you to do? It allows you to manage it, right? It's not a surprise to anybody now. There's not a time where Aaron Judge shows up at the clubhouse and goes, hey, boss, my foot's jacked up. I need 3 weeks off. That's not a thing anymore. Now you can manage it. You can give him time off in certain spots. You can rest him when you're got the Oakland A's coming to town. Take a day off, Aaron. Go get that foot right. Ice bath, big dog. If they stay healthy, the Yankees are dangerous. The Diamondbacks are coming off of a run to the World Series. Didn't get it done, but they got there. And they swept the LA freaking Dodgers out of the playoffs last year in the process. This team's still good. Still good. They got over 500, despite the fact that they got outscored and squeezed into the playoffs, but then they just kept fighting. The problem is, and this is what I said going into the season, it's where I stand now. The problem I have right now with this team is that they're not catching anybody by surprise this year. Decker and I got into a conversation about this on Bet for the Cycle a couple of weeks ago because he has got Arizona back in the playoffs as a wild card, and I said, I'm not so sure about that. I think the NL is a little more wide open this year. Obviously, the Braves are going to win the East. Obviously, the Dodgers are going to win the West. Obviously, there's going to be one team out of the Central, but the Phillies are going. The Padres could be back. The Giants could be better this year. I don't guarantee anything for the Diamondbacks because they're not shocking anybody this year. They've got a very young pitching rotation, a pitching rotation that you've got to worry about mentality. I'm just not there with them yet. Then I'm going to take one more step down. Teams that are on the way. I'd be a little more shocked if they got it done, but not entirely. The Phillies are in this group. The Phillies were better last season than they were back in 2022 when they won the pennant. The problem is they ran into the absolute buzzsaw that was the Rocky Motion Picture turned baseball team, the Arizona Diamondbacks. Philly is a team that is built for the postseason, where two things matter. Depth in pitching, not great quality game one stuff. When you know you got a guy that you can throw out there in game 3 and you've got a better chance to win and slug in the baseball, you got to put the ball into play. That's what Philly did last year. That's how they got the Braves the last 2 years. Problem is, I'm worried about the defense here. You went and got Kristen Pache out of Oakland. Brendan Marsh, good extra base slugger, not the best left fielder. Johan Rojas. The outfield for Philly, not your best defensive lineup. And when you're coming up against teams now like LA, like Atlanta, that are going to put a lot of balls out in the outfield, that could be a problem. I'm not there on them yet. I'm out on the Tampa Bay Rays. I have fallen off on the Rays. Everybody has been trying to tell me, Rob, they're still Tampa. They're still that team that won over 100 games like a lot of years in a row. Are they, though? Are they that same team? They still got guys that I really like. Randy Arozarena, Drew Rasmussen. They've still got guys I like. But they're running out of guys that I love. They have won 95 of every 162-game series they've played since 2018, a 6-year run of success that only the Dodgers, Astros, and Braves have supplanted. The problem is, like I said, I think they've aged out. And I think a lot of that talent has moved down. I'm out in the race. The Rangers won the World Series last year. I give them about a 50% chance to make the playoffs this year. Got a question mark about the Mariners out in that division. Got a question about the Astros. They could end up being as far down as 3rd in this division when it's all said and done. And I don't think that's good enough to get you in this year. They've almost faded out of the playoff race last year because they had a lot of injuries. They did get in at the last minute. Everybody got healthy at exactly the right time. This is more about the beginning of the season for Texas. They got to worry about, I think, 3 of their opening day 5, or what would have been their opening day 5, on the pitching rotation were all banged up. They lost some talent out of the lineup. I don't think they're the same. They had a great run last year. They were a fun team to watch last year. I just don't think they have the gas that they had last year. And with the injuries piled up, if they can't stack some wins despite being dogs very early in the season, they might find themselves in a heap of trouble. We'll find out. We'll talk more about it. I'm putting Seattle in that same group, but going the other way. It's about trending. I think they're trending up. The Mariners have won 90, 90, and 88 over the past 3 seasons. The problem is their run differential's in the minus. Or at least it hovered around the minus. It's on the way up. It's just not all the way there yet. You gave Kalenic away to Atlanta. You got very little in return for him. I'm concerned about that. But you got Luis Castillo. You've got George Kirby. You've got Logan Gilbert. You got Julio Rodriguez, who I think is very much a good dark horse bet to win the MVP this year. He already started hot. He's been hitting walk-offs already. Good young team, a lot of growth to go, and I think the issue is they just aren't quite as good as a young team as Baltimore. Toronto, I don't even want to get into Toronto. The players in Toronto look like they're miserable. They look like they don't want to be there. They don't look like they want to be a part of this. I don't know why it is that every year Toronto comes in on paper looking like they're ready to roll, and every year they stink. I don't get it. In the past 4 straight years, they've had 4 winning seasons and have lost every playoff game that they have played during the same span. I don't understand it. I don't like him. Get Vladdy Guerrero Jr. out of there. Let him go play somewhere else. Take another step down. Teams that are optimistic but shouldn't be. Put the Cleveland Guardians in that spot. I like their rotation behind Shane Bieber. But they've got Logan Allen and Tanner Beebe, who are both returning from injuries. I think Beebe actually pitched last week. Getting better. But I don't think they have the lineup. I don't think they have the lineup, and I think after the first 3 pitchers, you fall off dramatically, and that's a problem. I put the Cubs after that. Justin Steele goes down to a popped hammy in the very first start of the year. Whatever it is that's in control of the universe, it hates the Chicago Cubs. I'm putting the Cardinals down there. I think the Cardinals may not win 80 games this year, which is too bad because there's a lot of guys on that lineup I love. Nolan Arenado, Paul Goldschmidt. I like the lineup for these teams. Jordan Walker. I like the lineup here. They did try to pump up the rotation a little bit. They went and got Sonny Gray. You got Lars Nootbaar, who shows up every now and then and does some magic. But this team has not been able to pitch the last couple of years, and they've had some pitchers. So I'm concerned there's something going on preventing pitchers from succeeding in the STL, and it's keeping me away from St. Louis. I have no faith in them. Put the Red Sox back in this group. Back-to-back losing seasons landed them in the last place position in the AL East last year. How'd they get better? You brought in Lucas Giolito. Okay. 6 wins. 6 wins there. You went and got Vaughn Grissom, guy I really like. But you have got a young core in the middle infield for the Bo Sox. And unfortunately, when I say young, I'm not talking young like Money Mike, Ronald Acuna, young and very talented. I'm talking young and underdeveloped. Boston's not going to get there. I put the Padres in this group. The Padres are, of this bottom tier group, the team that I think is closest to elevating, to escalating, to getting back up into the mix. Last year, they went in with an all-star 1 through 9 lineup. But like I said, they went 82 and 80 because that locker room was gross. That locker room was gross. It was toxic. It was a locker room where you had a bunch of guys playing for a bunch of guys and not playing for each other. And I think it cost the San Diego Padres. Is it going to get better this year? I don't know. Fernando Tatis Jr. not going to have to miss any time, you hope. Jackson Merrill is a prospect who got brought up, top prospect who's going to be filling the Padres' role in center field. A lot of guys that could be good. Manny Machado, Xander Bogaerts, all players I like. Question is, do they figure it out behind the scenes? Teams that I think could be good next year, there's only one right here, San Francisco Giants. I think the Giants are closer than anybody gives them credit. I don't think they're close. I think there's a lot the Giants have to do. I could have maybe moved them up one more tier, but the defense of this team stinks. It's going to be helped by Blake Snell for sure. When you get Robbie Ray back, it's going to be even better. You're going to get some usage from Jorge Soler, who's already swinging the big stick. But outside of that, I think they need to make some moves. Next tier down, I'm putting the New York Mets. All I'll say about that is LOL Mets. You know what you did. After that, everybody else. Detroit. That's not true. I'm going to add Cincinnati to that group. I really like the direction that the Reds are going in. I don't think they're there yet. Cody Decker picked this team to end up winning the NL Central. It would be a shock to me. It'd be a shock to me. I think they could be good, but I think they're so young, despite the lessons that they learned last year. When they were, remember that like 2-month stretch where the Reds got stupid hot behind Ellie De La Cruz and they became kind of America's sweetheart for a hot minute? I don't think they have that magic this year. Everybody knows who Cincinnati is. You had enough talent last year to go on that surprise run and catch everybody by surprise, because when people went to Cincinnati or when Cincinnati came to them, that was rest day for a lot of teams. Then they caught everybody by surprise. And the second half of the season, the Reds did not look as good anymore. So I'm bumping them down a little bit. After that, it's everybody else. It's Miami. It's Milwaukee. It's Kansas City. It's the Angels. It's the White Sox. It's the A's. It's the Nats. And it's the Rockies. Real quick, because we got to take a break here in just a minute. Wrap up the show. Yesterday, it got announced that the Athletics, I'm not even going to call them Oakland anymore. The Athletics, soon to be, well, actually, not so soon to be, Las Vegas, whatever they are. Turns out it's going to be at the earliest 2028 before they can move into a stadium in Vegas. Now, Lonzo, I want to make sure I didn't Marty McFly myself. What year is it right now at this moment?
2024, Rob.
That's what I thought. Now, I'm bad at math, but if they can't get there until 2028, that means they've got to play the 24, 25, 26, and 27 seasons somewhere else. City of Oakland came and said, hey, yo, we, as much as we don't like you, we'll give you an extension to keep your games here in Oakland until your new stadium is ready. And John Fisher said, no, we good. So what is John Fisher doing with his baseball team? He's taking them to Sacramento, California, where they are going to play, Lonzo, in a 14,000-seat minor league baseball stadium. I mean, congrats, Sacramento. You get some MLB in your city for a hot minute. 14,000-seat major. They're playing at Fluor Field. That's a major league team. They're playing at Fluor Field. It's embarrassing. And then John Fisher was like, that's not quite embarrassing enough. Not quite embarrassing enough. Let me embarrass myself further.
We're excited to be here for the next 3 years, playing in this beautiful ballpark, but also being able to watch some of the greatest players in baseball, whether they be athletics players or Aaron Judge and others, launch home runs out of this very intimate, the most intimate ballpark in all of Major League Baseball for the next 3 years. And we're looking forward to this being our home until we move on to our stadium in Las Vegas in 2028.
I don't know.
Dude, you suck, John Fisher. You suck so bad. Just as a dude, you suck so bad. I adore Zoe. I adore his The most intimate stadium in Major League Baseball. You mean small. You mean small. It's the smallest stadium. You're playing in a minor league stadium. You are treating your players as if they're minor league players. Just say small. Okay? We all know what you mean. Stop trying to dress it up. Stop trying to pretend this is anything other than what it is, which is you suck and you're the worst person. Okay? Then my favorite thing in that clip, he goes, I can't wait to come watch some of the best players in Major League Baseball, whether they be A's or Aaron Judge in the New York. You're telling me, John Fisher, that in that spot, you couldn't come up with the name of one athletics player to say you were excited to watch play there? You couldn't come up, for the record.
I don't know.
For the record, I couldn't either.
Maybe he's trying to get fans of other teams to show up since the fans of that team don't come into the stadium.
Listen, they're going to sell out 14,000 seats in Sacramento because the people in Sacramento don't give a good gosh darn about the Oakland fans. And hey, I got Major League Baseball in my backyard. If the Bo Sox right now, Zoe, said, hey, we gotta repair Fenway. We're gonna go down and play our games in Greenville, South Carolina for a year, I'm buying season tickets tomorrow. Major League Baseball in my backyard, absolutely. They'll sell out 14,000. I think part of the reason that John Fisher is doing this is because he knows he can sell 14,000 tickets to a game, which he can't do in Oakland right now. They got an average attendance of about 12 to 1,500 people at games in Oakland so far this season. But you are telling me that when talking about games at the most intimate stadium in baseball, smallest, you jerk wagon, you couldn't come up with one of your own players to say you were excited to see play there. You couldn't talk about Shea Langoliers. You couldn't talk about, I don't know. Actually, I don't know. I don't know any other ace. That's how bad this team is. Ryan Noda.
Excuse me. Did you say jerk wagon?
Yeah.
Okay. I just,
yeah, he's a jerk wagon.
I just wanted to make sure that,
He's an entire wagon full of jerks.
Okay. Because I don't think I've ever heard that before.
I don't think I've ever said it before. I was inspired.
It's like, okay.
I was inspired by this jerk wagon.
I've heard of jack wagons, but not jerk wagons.
Yeah, I think I was gonna say jack wagon, but then I realized he is a jerk, and also there's another usage of that I wanted people to have in the back of their brain because that's how I feel about this jerk wagon. It's an entire wagon full of jerk. I hate this dude, bro. I really do. That's a strong word. But I hate this guy. I'm excited to come watch, other teams than the ones that I own play here.
His voice, and this is, I believe, maybe the first time I've heard it, sounded very sarcastic when he was saying all that.
Oh, dude, he is a worthless politician trying to politic his way out of a situation where he knows that he comes across as the world's biggest. And everybody hates him. Everybody. Nobody likes John Fisher. I don't think John Fisher likes John Fisher, to be honest with you. Let's take a break. We'll come back. What the X is going on, and then we go home for WrestleMania weekend, brother. Up next on the Rob Brown Show with the Fan Upstate. Ahoo!
Bless you.
I've had to do that the whole segment, and it wouldn't come out.
Set them up against either UConn or Iowa for the national championship. South Carolina has won 2 previous national titles. NBA, the Charlotte Hornets hosting the Orlando Magic tonight with 6 games remaining on the season. The Hornets have dropped 3 in a row and 9 of their last 10. Head coach Steve Clifford announced that he will be stepping.
It helps if you grab the right mouse and not the one that doesn't do anything on this particular computer.
When you buy 68 or more select OSB sheet, plus save an extra 5%. Eligible purchases when you use your Lowe's business
Hey, man, you did it. Okay. You did it. All right. I guess if you have a jerk face and you're on a wagon, well, no, I don't know. Oh, there is. Okay.
That's a fantastic definition.
Wait, did you write that, Wesley?
You said it's Urban Dictionary.
Uh-huh. I'm getting let the fish through kind of vibes from this.
Sneeze or don't. Come on. You, golly.
You know what? That's two. Diesel somewhere is going, we got to fumigate the whole place. Just bring in the crew, the hazmat suits. All right, time to ask Rob what the X is going on. And he's going to tell us what the X
To the best of his ability.
is going on, because that's how this segment works. The first thing that is Xing is The Rock.
Dwayne. Of course, Dwayne and his cousin Roman, the tribal chief Reigns, will be facing Seth freaking Rollins and Cody, the American Nightmare Rhodes, in a tag team match tomorrow night, night one. Should Cody and Seth win, Cody v. Roman, bloodline banned from ringside on Sunday. Should Roman and Rock win, it's bloodline rules, which means, of course, it's going to be Cody versus the bloodline, which is going to happen. And then we get our Avengers Assemble moment of everyone that Roman has screwed over the years. Book it, write it down. I'm a fantastic storyteller.
All right, that's not why he's Xing, though. He showed up 2 hours late to WWE World yesterday. A crowd waiting for him for 2 hours.
Heel move.
And then
Heel
he
move.
should, is it straight up heel move, or was he legitimately late
I'm
for
sure
some
he's
reason?
legitimately low. He's the freaking.
Nah, I would say if Vince McMahon was still in charge, he was 2 hours late because they just rewrote the entire WrestleMania like 2 days before.
That doesn't work for me, brother.
Yeah. So, but anyway, he was unapologetic about being late.
Oh, heel move then.
Yeah, and
Heel move then.
they show him in the parking lot, still taking his time, knowing he's late.
My favorite thing so far is all of after Rock was beating the hell out of Cody, all the crying kid videos on the internet.
I did not enjoy the crying kids.
I loved them so much because it means that wrestling is still real to these kids, and that's awesome because we've all been there. I remember
kids
very much.
should not be watching that, but that's
Why?
that's me, because I mean the blood. First of all, it was after 11 o'clock. What are they doing up? It's a school night. Okay,
I mean, here it was like 3:30 in the morning on the left coast.
that's even worse.
I think it's fantastic. I think it's great. And I love the one little girl who said, I'm never watching Moana again. And the mom said, why? And she said, because Maui's beating up Cody. And I was like, you know what? I love it. I love that kayfabe is alive. There are parts of me that, like, I remember back in Undertaker Prime, there was a point where the Undertaker disappeared. And I realize now he was away for an injury. But they wrote it into the storyline where he disappeared. And I remember as a kid, probably 5-6 years old, at night, staying up and looking out my window just to make sure the Undertaker wasn't walking around my neighborhood because I was scared to death. Wrestling, let me let Dwayne say it.
Professional wrestling is cool.
So you were worried the Undertaker might be outside your window. That's by the way, James saw what I saw. Rock said he was watching Jalen Hurts lose a playoff game again.
Heel
Move.
I love that.
It was good. So you really thought the Undertaker was out there? So the boogeyman to you?
I was like 5.
No.
Dude.
So the boogeyman to you was the Undertaker.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's not a bad
Scared the hell
boogeyman to
out of me,
be
dude.
worried about.
Scared the hell out of me when I was a
All
kid.
right. The next thing that's Xing is the NFL Network.
By the way, no, the boogeyman was the boogeyman. The Undertaker was the
yeah.
Undertaker.
I'm the boogeyman.
Yeah,
worms, man. Those were real worms.
Those were so weird. What's the next one?
The NFL Network.
NFL Network parted ways with a number of their reporters yesterday. I think Andrew Siciliano was one of them.
Yes, he was the major one.
That is big. Andrew Siciliano has been at the NFL Network like since the beginning of the NFL Network.
Scott Hansen, as long as Scott Hansen is safe.
I really like Andrew Siciliano. Siciliano was one of those guys that, like, you know, we all say, oh, we don't want the slant in the news. We don't want the opinion in the news. Siciliano was never a guy who was giving you hot takes. He just said, here's what happened. Here was the breakdown. Here's the guy that left. Here's how much you got let go for. Here's what the trade was. Here's what this guy signed for, whatever. And it saddens me that of the artists at the NFL Network, the best reporter of the gang is the one who got let go. It saddens me.
All right, so I'm just purely thinking of Red Zone because apparently Siciliano did Red Zone for DirecTV, whereas Scott Hansen does it for Dish. I don't know if he also does it for cable. I wonder if he's still going to be on the Olympic broadcast because those two I thought were going to do Red Zone for the Olympics together.
I don't know who is running that. I don't know if that's
it's
NBC. NBC, right?
It is NBC.
Yeah, it's got to be NBC. I don't know. I'd keep them around.
And I can't remember which network owns NFL Network. I think it might be the NFL. Anyway, the last thing Xing is and could be and forever in the future possibly Josh Allen.
Josh Allen. The Bills suck.
Mm-hmm.
I hate you, Buffalo. Send Josh Allen to New Orleans. We take care. We'll take care of him. Send him on down to the NOLA. I'll trade you Derek Carr, future Hall of Famer, straight up for him right now. That's it for us, y'all. Thanks for hanging out. Enjoy WrestleMania weekend. Star Wars night with the Greenville Triumph tomorrow at Paladin Stadium. Please come out and hang out with us.
South Carolina Comic-Con. Come up and say hey.
South Carolina Comic-Con.
Hand hugs.
Alonzo, he will hug you.
Hand hugs.
Full chest-to-chest, bro-to-bro hug. And, of course, South Carolina women's basketball tonight, 7 p.m. And don't forget, you can listen to the men's Final Four tomorrow night right here and only on the Fan Upstate. Don't drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face. Have a lovely rest of your day. We'll see you back here tomorrow on the Rob Brown. No, we won't. On Monday on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate later. Yeah.
Under the wire. Got it in under the wire.
That's one.
It counts. It absolutely counts. It was in show.
Oh, man. All right, dudes and dudettes, we got to run. I got stuff to do. Thank you guys for being here. Enjoy your weekend. Again, Triumph game tomorrow night. If you're going, come say hi. Otherwise, enjoy WrestleMania, and we will break down Rob's, once again, perfect WrestleMania bracket coming up on
By the way, really quick before you sign off, Trey asked earlier when I would be at South Carolina Comic-Con. I will be there
all day tomorrow.
I'll be there at 10 a.m. Until my legs give out. And then I'll be there for the costume contest on Sunday, which is like at 3:00.
Dig it. All right, dudes and dudettes. Y'all have a lovely weekend. We'll see you back here Monday. Tell your friends about us. Help us grow the show. Have a good one. Goodbye.
Warrior.